They had to. What's going on, everybody? This is LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. As always, we are who we are. I don't know if you caught some of that technical difficulties.
The glitches?
Yeah, the glitches.
That never happened before.
Yeah.
I've never seen that happen before, ever. Ever since we started going live and using that sequence. Did y'all see it, yo?
They probably did. If we
y'all had to have seen it. If we saw it on our end.
Maybe if it was... maybe the computer processors were, too heavy at the time.
Could be.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, glad to be here with you. Today, Thursday, the 11th of July, 2019. We're broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope Live. So, hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good night. We have much to discuss again. Going to get into some more... fallout from Jeffrey Epstein, more fallout on that front, specifically a press conference where one individual just...
was unapologetic.
Defended himself to no end. It was disgraceful, really.
He acted as if he did not break the law.
He acted as if he did not break the law.
Yeah. But what were we expecting though? Were we expecting Acosta to come out there and just own up to what he did? Because that would be admitting guilt, right?
He offered no apologies, none of that.
No, especially what's added to this is not just that Acosta didn't offer any apologies. When Trump was asked to offer his comments on this whole situation, he felt sorry for Acosta, not the victims.
Yep.
Think about that.
Felt bad for
Acosta.
Acosta.
Bad for Acosta. I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad
for the guy. But this is where we're at, man. It's amazing that this is where we're at. It's not amazing that somebody would take that position to protect the powerful, the rich, the powerful, stuff like that. It's not amazing. But for the top executive in the country.
The top executive, true that. And for people to still to support the president.
Wow. Anyway, but we got some other stuff to talk about. Bernie Sanders had an interview with Rachel Maddow on MSNBC. We're going to get to some audio of that. There was a summit at the White House today. We're going to get to that as well.
Snowflake summit.
Definitely.
It was a snowflake
most
summit.
Most def.
Or you call it Crybaby Summit.
Yeah, you could.
Or
there's a lot of good names for it.
Alt-right Tears Summit.
Yep. Nazi Tears Summit.
Nazi tears.
Nazi tears.
Nazi bubbles.
You could. But yeah, let's first get started with Labor Secretary Alex Acosta. So on last program on Tuesday, we talked about how Jeffrey Weinstein. I did the same thing.
But at least it fits.
It fits.
At least the slip fits.
It does, man.
The tongue slip actually fits.
I promise you, it's not purposeful either. I promise it's not purposeful.
Maybe your brain is like wired to see them the same way for what they have done. So they're sexual predators. So of course you just mix them up.
All right, but anyway, we talked on Tuesday about Jeffrey Epstein and how he has been newly indicted on some new charges. Of course, these are very similar charges to ones about a decade ago that he had to face in Florida, Palm Beach County, in which he served 13 months in a county jail for going after underage girls, sexually molesting them. So the new charges are just like that, but now we're talking about New York State with his Manhattan mansion. So again, he's just recently been arrested and indicted, and it does harken back to that earlier time. And so the current Labor Secretary, Alex Acosta, has been forced to defend himself because he was the U.S. attorney in South Florida at that time, and he cut a deal, a secret deal, with Jeffrey Epstein, allowing him to serve these 13 months in a county jail. But it was a secret. It was not revealed. The particulars were not revealed to the victims of the crime, the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, which we know is illegal. And a court has found that it was illegal because of the Crime Victims' Rights Act.
And so a lot of representatives have been calling for his resignation.
Yes.
Calling for Trump to kind of at least prompt.
Kick him out.
Kick him out.
Exactly. He has no place. And especially when, he doesn't have a place in a position like that to begin with. But when you take into account the position that he is in as the Labor Secretary, in which this department oversees like child labor laws.
Child labor laws and child exploitation laws.
Yeah, sexual trafficking, human trafficking.
Okay, that's interesting that you brought that up. So, like, since he does have that position, right, it would be good for him, especially seeing as he's being criticized for the decision he made submitting this plea deal without the knowledge of the plaintiffs. You would think, since he's in this position, this would be a good, I guess, position to be in to redeem himself.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, you would think.
Because he's in a position to protect children, right?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you.
So, but is he actually doing that?
He would probably say that he is. Many people have their doubts. I have my doubts. He's tried to slash the budget. He's tried to slash the budget.
Has he? I see. Like that. I guess in regards to child trafficking or sex trafficking.
Yeah. The what is it? It's the the International Labor Affairs Bureau. He's tried to slash that budget by about 80%. Again, we're talking about internationally trying to fight sex trafficking, human trafficking, trying to fight child labor laws, stuff like that. All that, and he's trying to slash that budget by about 80%. To compare and contrast, the Democrats have been trying to increase the budget for this department, for this bureau.
So you're saying there's a pattern there. So it's not just kind of his actions from 10 years ago.
Oh,
right?
No, it's not. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop there.
It doesn't stop there. So I think that's why this should be a topic of conversation. So it's not just trying to hold him accountable for something he did 10 years ago, which is illegal.
Right.
He has a kind of a more prominent position now,
yes.
a more prominent role in the cabinet of a presidential administration. And you would think that since this is a big issue, and a big issue for a lot of people,
right,
as far as trafficking.
Yes. When we're talking about the Jeffrey Epstein deal that happened about a decade ago, we're talking about over 100 victims that we know of, or that, that they've, I guess, been. There were over 100 victims within that case. I don't know if there were more. There could have been more. But anyway, we're only talking about a select set of, we're only talking about so many victims, even though it's a lot.
Like within a specific case.
Yes.
So it's confined to a specific case and
one criminal.
One criminal.
And one criminal.
So it's
Compare that to him being in this position, trying to cut the budget globally. You're not talking about just one individual that may be a criminal and tries to facilitate sex trafficking and things like that. So you're talking about potentially, I don't know how many more times victims.
Which would essentially affect the ability for our agencies to tackle sex trafficking or just human trafficking in general.
Yeah. This is the guy in this position. This is the guy so it's not just that it's a bad look for this guy with that past to be in a prominent role. It's the role that he's in as well.
And it's what he's doing in that role too. Yeah. That kind of, I don't know, it causes these two situations to converge. The two situations we're talking about to converge on one another.
That's right.
And so like a pattern of, indifference to human trafficking.
No doubt. Yep. I would say that. Definite indifference, man. He doesn't seem like he cares whatsoever. He's not apologetic. So let's get to the press conference. So he did hold a press conference. This was yesterday, I believe. Right? Mm-hmm. Yes, on Wednesday. Labor Secretary Alex Acosta took to the podium to defend himself and defend his record. And he did take several questions from reporters as well. So first, we want to show you a clip of this, I guess his opening statement, in which he actually tried to put the blame on somebody else, not himself. So this is the first clip.
A major newspaper described the Epstein prosecution like this. A Florida grand jury, that is, a grand jury convened by the district attorney of Palm Beach County, had charged Epstein with the lesser offense. At that time, the Epstein legal team was elated. He would have avoided prison altogether. But then the United States Attorney's Office in Miami became involved. Epstein got an ultimatum: plead guilty to a charge that would require jail time and registration, or face federal charges. And that was the week, more than 10 years ago, that Epstein went to jail. Times have changed, and coverage of this case has certainly changed since that article. Facts are important, and facts are being overlooked. This matter started as a state matter. It was prosecuted initially by the state of Florida and not by the U.S. Attorney's Office. In 2006, a grand jury convened by the state attorney, the district attorney of Palm Beach County, reviewed the evidence and recommended a single charge. And that charge would have resulted in no jail time at all, no registration as a sexual offender, and no restitution to the victim. Further, the state attorney's office allowed Epstein to self-surrender and arraigned him the following morning. Simply put, the Palm Beach State Attorney's Office was ready to let Epstein walk free. No jail time, nothing.
Oh, I see what he's getting at. Mm-hmm. He's saying that, hey, I overrode the state attorney's office.
Right.
I overrode that.
I came in and saved the day.
I came in and saved the day. So it wasn't me who gave Epstein a slap on the wrist. It was the state attorneys that were wanting to give Epstein a slap on the wrist. And I came in and said, no, he has to serve something. Right. That's what he's trying to do right there.
Yes. And so, of course, there's going to be a response to this. And the state's attorney at the time, his name was Barry Krischer. So he had, again, he had something to say about, I guess, Acosta's take. So in a statement, he wrote that the state's attorney's office did convene a grand jury, and the resulting charge was a single count of felony solicitation of prostitution, a third-degree felony. He went on to say, subsequently, the U.S. Attorney's Office produced a 53-page indictment that was abandoned after secret negotiations between Mr. Epstein's lawyers and Mr. Acosta. The state's attorney's office was not a party to those meetings or negotiations and definitely had no part in the federal non-prosecution agreement and the unusual confidentiality agreement that kept everything hidden from the victims. No matter how my office resolved the state charges, the U.S. Attorney's Office always had the ability to file its own federal charges. If Mr. Acosta was truly concerned with the state's case and felt he had to rescue the matter, he would have moved forward with the 53-page indictment that his own office drafted. Mr. Acosta should not be allowed to rewrite history.
And based on that 53-page indictment, what was Jeffrey Epstein looking at as far as serving time? Because what was his prison sentence looking like?
In number of years, I think it went all the way up to like 360, something like that. But
so like five lifetimes.
Yeah, given that humans don't live that long, you're looking at life. You're looking at life in prison. Yeah.
So basically, what Acosta did was throw out the 53-page indictment and act as if he didn't have that to make a decision with.
It was never filed.
So he's diminishing what the state's attorney presented for evidence,
right,
as an excuse right now. He said, "Oh, that he's acting like that 53-page indictment with the recommendations wasn't there."
See, and look, there is room here to blame everybody, because there are several police officers that were actually investigating this, of course, investigating Epstein on Palm Beach back in the 2000s. And they told the Miami Herald that this was published in November of last year. They said that they felt pressured by Krischer, who was the state's attorney. They felt pressured by him to downgrade Epstein's case to a misdemeanor or to drop it altogether. So it's entirely possible that Krischer was trying to do a favor for somebody that's rich and powerful and has some clout. It's totally possible that he was trying to do that. When you look at the charge that came out of that grand jury, one count of felony solicitation of prostitution, when you look at that, and you're talking about underage girls, you're talking about minors. This has nothing to do with prostitution whatsoever. They couldn't be prostitutes, right? So what you're talking about is sex trafficking. What you're talking about is molestation. That's the only thing that we're talking about. So the charge doesn't even make sense. So like I said, it's definitely possible that the state's attorney was doing something very nefarious. But like we've been talking about, like you were just talking about a few minutes ago, there's a 53-page indictment that the U.S. attorney drafted. That office drafted it. So if they actually did want to come in and save the day, and within this 53-page indictment, they listed all of these crimes, and all these crimes have the ability to produce a life sentence for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, then why not go ahead and file those charges? It doesn't make sense. If you actually wanted to come in, like he's saying, I'm the good guy. See, they were reckless. They weren't going to, he wasn't even going to see a day in jail. So if you're the good guy here, then why didn't you actually follow that path of the good guy and make it so that he got significantly more time than 13 months in a county jail, which included 6 days where he got 12 hours of work release. 6 days throughout the week, he was able to leave for 12 hours out of that day.
What was his job? Work release. What was his job?
He hedge fund manager?
I was about to say he was a hedge fund manager of some sort. But yeah, I'm wondering what he was being released to do.
It's amazing, man. So anyway, all right. So there's another clip that we want to show you. In this clip, he is actually taking questions from reporters.
Epstein's actions absolutely deserve a stiffer sentence. For years, there have been rumors of investigations in other jurisdictions, and he should be prosecuted in any state in which he committed a crime. If there are other states in which he committed crimes, if there are other states that can bring state charges, they should consider those as well. And so I absolutely welcome this New York prosecution. It is the absolutely right thing to do, and I'm happy to take questions.
A lot of people are watching this news conference, including several young women who say they were teenagers when Jeffrey Epstein sexually assaulted them. They say they went to you looking for help, and they didn't hear back from you until it was too late. Do you owe them an apology?
The career prosecutor in this case had a difficult decision to make, and she didn't make it alone. She made it in consultation with the FBI, and she made it in consultation with the office. The agreement that had been negotiated had an unusual provision. Even though this was a state case, the victims would have the opportunity to receive restitution. Epstein would be required to pay for them to hire a lawyer to bring a case against him, a case in which he would have to plead no contest and provide them with restitution. And the concern, and these are the words of the career prosecutor, that, quote, she did not want to share with the victims that the office was attempting to secure for them the ability to obtain monetary compensation, because she is aware that if she disclosed that and the negotiations fell through, Epstein's counsel would use this to question the victim's credibility. I do not think that the office violated the ABA standards by negotiating strongly and forcefully.
You've mentioned several times that you and the prosecutors in your office weren't sure that you could secure a win in this case, but the very purpose of the CVRA is to give the victims an opportunity to weigh in, and a federal judge ruled that you broke federal law by not doing so. Do you think that your thinking would have been different had you followed the law and consulted the victims?
So first, let me point out we followed department policy. Department policy at the time made very clear, and this is in a written statement that was subsequently issued by what is called the Office of Legal Counsel, which is the chief the chief legal arm of the Department of Justice, that these situations with non-prosecution agreements are not covered by the CVRA at the time, because the CVRA, according to department policy, does not attach until a case is actually brought. Now, I understand that the judge had a different view, and I understand that the judge's view was that department policy did not comply with the law. And that's the way our system works. Our system works in that a judge can say what the department policy is not consistent with the law.
That's interesting. So he's contradicting the statement from the judge, saying that he violated the law. So he says he's following department policy, but he didn't address the issue of him breaking the law. I guess he's saying his department's policy is to break the law. He didn't actually address the question.
What I heard from that man is he said that the CVRA does not attach until a case is brought. So that's why I guess the department policy was what it was. And they didn't look at it like it was breaking the law because, again, the CVRA, which is the Crime Victims' Rights Act, that doesn't attach until you actually, I guess, file charges, until a case is brought. Now, if somebody, obviously he knows that. Now, if somebody is trying to do a solid for someone, if somebody is trying to diminish the outcome, diminish the effects, diminish the amount of time, diminish just the overall aspect of one's sentence, whatever. And they know that department policy is like, well, hold on, this Crime Victims' Rights Act, actually, I think we don't even have to tell these victims because it doesn't even apply until we actually file charges. And we even file charges, this is a non-prosecution. So we don't got to say anything. We're going to tell them after the fact. That's some slimy stuff. And that's what I got from that. He knows better than anybody. He was able to communicate that for everybody that was listening just now. To me, that screams of somebody leading the office that didn't want to go the prosecution route because it would have been more damaging to one Jeffrey Epstein.
So it does seem like he was doing Jeffrey Epstein a favor and not, going by department policy.
No, I don't think so.
It would be good to look at some other cases and see if he did that with other cases.
That's true.
But if Acosta felt secure and he felt justified in what he was doing, and he felt that he was looking out for the victims, why would he keep it a secret?
Why would he? Well, he explained that. He did explain
Oh,
that.
yeah, that's right. He explained it. I don't accept that answer. That's why I'm asking the question. His answer doesn't make sense. It had to do with
Restitution.
and Epstein being forced to pay for counsel
Right.
for the victims.
Yeah, if they brought a
if they
civil
brought a
case
civil
against
case.
him, he would plead no contest, and he would pay for the lawyers, the attorneys for
But
these
then he said
victims.
he was afraid that if that went forward and they lost, then Epstein could use that against the victims.
or just knowing that
Or use
information
that-
before the agreement was, I guess, put into place, before they actually signed off on the agreement, both sides. If the information about the agreement got out, Epstein's lawyers would have used that against him and say that these victims are only money hungry, and the stories are tainted.
So in that moment, he was trying to make it look as if he was looking out for the victims.
Yes.
Again, he's trying to do that.
But see, doesn't it seem, because, and this was not the only time that I got that feeling throughout this press conference. It seemed to me that Alex Acosta was more concerned with restitution than actually justice. The civil cases could have been brought no matter what. Now, would Epstein have paid for the lawyers? Probably not. No. But the civil cases would have still been brought forward. What he traded for justice was restitution. He wanted to make sure that these victims were paid. So you're making them prostitutes. That's what it looks like to me. You're making them prostitutes unknowingly and not on their own accord. They don't even have any knowledge of this. All you want to do is pay them, make them go away, set up Jeffrey Epstein in a little county jail for a few hours a day. That's it. That's not justice. That's not justice whatsoever.
Again, and if that was his position, right? That, hey, I don't want Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers, and I don't want the public perception to be that you're just out for money. If that was the case, and if he truly believed that, and he truly believed that was a humble and a noble position, then why not present the victims with that? You see what I'm saying? Like, hey,
Because
I'm looking
it would
out.
have messed up the money.
He would have messed up, yeah.
Which that should not be your primary concern. Your primary concern is going after the individual that is wreaking havoc in that area, destroying lives, molesting young girls. That should be your main concern, making that individual pay for their crimes. Not literally, not with actual monetary dollars. No. Pay for their crimes in a sentence, not 13 months in a county jail for 12 hours a day for 6 days a week. He said he doesn't think they violated ABA standards, American Bar Association standards. I don't know how he can say that when you broke the law, when you engaged in an illegal agreement. I don't understand how you could say that, but he did.
He's trying to worm his way out of this. And he's doing that by trying to present this case that he was looking out for the victims. That's what he's doing here. He's trying to reshape what he did in a way that makes it look like, hey, I was just trying to find the best outcome for this. But the way it sounds is he was trying to find the best outcome for Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
That's what it looks like.
Not for the victims. This reminds me of that term or that phrase, that saying, make lemons out of lemonade. Hey, I know you girls, got violated, you got molested, you got raped.
Or make lemonade out of lemons?
Yeah, this is what it's.
You said it backwards.
I said it backwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Make lemonade out of lemons. Yeah.
It actually makes sense in this case, because seems like that's what they're trying to make these girls do.
Yeah.
Get the lemon juice back in. Get the lemon juice back in the lemon.
He was more concerned with paying them. And if it was just that, it'd be despicable anyways. But I don't think it was just contained to that. I think it was he wanted them to get paid because that was the best route at protecting Jeffrey Epstein.
So basically, he was making that decision for them. But ultimately, he was making that decision for Jeffrey Epstein and not for them.
I think so. It's disgusting, man. He's a disgusting person. He should not be in the role that he is currently in. I don't believe this is going away because, of course, Jeffrey Epstein's case has not been resolved yet. He should get all the negative attention, the criticism in the world because he deserves it. Also, about Jeffrey Epstein, a woman came forward, a woman named Jennifer Araoz, I believe. I don't know how to say her name. It's Araoz. I don't know how to pronounce that. But she interviewed with NBC's Today. I believe that was yesterday. And this is about this particular, situation with Jeffrey Epstein, these particular crimes, not in Florida. She said that she was raped by Jeffrey Epstein. She was 14 at the time. She was recruited outside of her school by an unidentified woman. I believe investigators are still trying to find out who that woman was. She said she was given $300 after every visit to Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan home. I believe the pitch was that he's a good guy, he's a nice guy, he could help her out with her career, blah, blah, blah. She was served with wine at his home. Eventually, the visit started to include massages. She said about a year after that, Jeffrey Epstein told her to take off her underwear and get on top of him. She didn't want to, said no initially, but he grabbed her, pulled her over. She said she was scared, didn't really resist after that, didn't really understand it was rape. But he raped her, and she said she stopped going there afterwards. So she came forward, and of course she said that she's willing to testify.
I think there's another aspect of it that is kind of despicable, is that he had a lot of help. He had a lot of help, and it was coordination from a body of individuals.
Right.
Because we talked about this on the last show about how he set up this whole modeling business Sheen. And you have to have a lot of coordination to do that. So he had a lot of people feeding him these women. So it's not just that Jeffrey Epstein got off. Right. It's his enablers and co-conspirators that got off. You see what I'm saying? That's another part of it that's kind of upsetting, because it's not even about Jeffrey Epstein, because he couldn't do all this by himself. So,
but this goes back to
there's a lot of other people that need to, face punishment.
But what you're talking about goes back to Alex Acosta as well, because those enablers, the people that enabled and helped Jeffrey Epstein commit these crimes, were unindicted co-conspirators.
Unindicted co-conspirators. So
they received immunity.
But see, here's the thing. Usually when people receive immunity, that means they get off easy. And the person at the top, the person at the head, is the one who suffers the most punishment. That's why you give people immunity, because there's a bigger fish to fry. Right. Which I still don't disagree with, but if you're going to fry the big fish, go ahead and fry the big fish. But they didn't fry the big fish.
They didn't even prosecute the big fish.
No, the big fish is essentially still swimming. They didn't even actually. They caught the fish and threw it back.
Yes. It's amazing, man. His lawyer at the time too, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, is Alan Dershowitz. People have probably heard that name before. But he denies being part of the sex trafficking operation. He has been, there's one particular woman that's claiming that he had knowings of it, but he's denying it. He said that he was an interview with CBS, and he denied that he ever saw Epstein with underage girls. He looked in the interview like like it was a clutching your pearls moment. Oh my! If I had seen something like that, oh my gosh! No, I would have terminated my relation with them immediately. And you're doing a little bit too much. I'm not buying the routine.
He's being a good lawyer in public.
Yeah. He said that of course he knew what he was charged with, and he said the agreement was reached and fair. He said that if done again, he would try to get a better deal for him, because even with the crimes that he was charged with, that doesn't preclude somebody from having a defense.
So how can you have your pearl clutching moment and then say you'd still defend this person now knowing what he did?
Right.
It'd be different, like, if he was telling the truth. He said, hey, I didn't have any idea what he was doing. Hey, I just defended the guy, and I didn't have any definitive proof that he was engaged in this behavior. Okay, we still don't believe him.
Right.
But now that we know what Epstein did, to say that you would still defend him and get a better deal, that doesn't make sense. It does make your pearl clutching look a bit disingenuous and fake.
It does. I didn't believe it. No, I didn't believe it.
But yeah, this is kind of, to me, what surrounds this case is something we usually bring up, and that's our two-tiered justice system. We have people serving longer sentences for much less offenses.
No doubt.
Drug offenses, stealing something out of a convenience store, maybe driving with a suspended license, like a lesser offenses, and people were in jail for like 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What about the woman who voted on accident? What state was that? That was Texas?
That was Texas.
That was Texas.
Yep.
She got sent to jail.
Yep. She was looking at 5 more years.
She was looking at 5 more years.
Yep. That's what they wanted.
For voting incorrectly.
That's right. That's right. It's crazy, man. You just bringing that up, it took me to a statement that one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims made. Her name is Marcel Licata. That was from the case back in 2008, and she was one of the girls that were molested by Jeffrey Epstein, and she made a statement that it just kind of stood out to me. But she said, yeah, how come people who don't have money get sent to jail and can't even make bail, and they have to do their time and sit there and think about what they did wrong? He had no repercussions and doesn't even believe he did anything wrong. So that goes exactly to what you're saying. This is one of his victims. Did not know about the deal that was cut, the plum deal that was cut between Acosta's office and Jeffrey Epstein. Doesn't know until afterwards. She has no say in the matter whatsoever. Acosta's not looking out for justice. He's looking out for somebody that's rich and powerful.
You know what I didn't hear him say? Didn't hear him, I didn't hear him mention. You know who I didn't hear him mention? You know what I'm saying? Because he was asked to give explanations as to why this deal was reached, right? And it didn't sound like his hands were tied.
Nope.
It didn't sound like he was talking about his hands are tied. But you know who whose name I did not hear? Or 2 names I didn't hear. Robert Mueller and James Comey. I didn't hear those 2 names, because that's kind of been this conspiracy theory that's been floating around, that Mueller was involved in crafting this secret deal. I think if that was the case, Acosta should kind of free himself of this controversy.
Ball, right?
Just drop that ball, right? If that was the case. I'm just wondering, without any evidence, why people were putting that out there. Seems as if they were trying to protect somebody or damage somebody's reputation in order to protect somebody else. Why is that? I even was watching Fox News, and they had some commentator on there, some black dude, said this happened under Obama. And like, Obama was not president at the time.
So Katrina happened under Obama too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. They're just working extra hard.
It's disgusting, man. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Bernie. Or you want to do the little
because it's a Trump administration?
Yeah, or the little Snowflake summit.
We can do the Snowflake summit real quick
do that?
because that's kind of in the same administration.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So yeah, at the White House on Thursday, and I believe this had been planned for some time. The actual date, I don't believe, was set until very recently. A lot of people were left scrambling to get to the White House because of just the sudden timing of this. But there was a social media summit at the White House on Thursday with some very notable guests. I'd say probably, I don't know if all conservatives, but a multitude.
It was all conservative.
Yeah, it was. I mean, of course, there was other media there covering it. But the people that were invited to be a part of the summit, of course, they were conservatives.
You consider them right wing,
of course,
right kind of personalities.
Yes.
That feel slighted by social media because maybe they've been demonetized, the video's been taken down for maybe some terms of service violations that they don't feel are justified.
And maybe they're not even just personally affected, but they've seen it happen, or they've seen the tears because of it.
Yeah, it's social media like Twitter and YouTube and Facebook is targeting a certain group over other groups.
Yes, so they're targeting conservatives, muting their voices or suppressing their voices.
Specifically conservatives.
Yes, specifically conservatives. And I didn't know there was like some tool that was created by the White House or something like that.
It was a few months ago.
Yeah, to document this stuff. Like, I guess if something happens to you and if something happens to your post to where it's taken down or you don't think it reached as far as it should, wow. Then you would, I guess, send the information through this tool. Man, I mean, there's some posts that we would like, there's
some posts that we would like to reach a lot of people. Actually, there's some posts that we would just like to reach the people that follow the page.
Exactly.
Whether it be YouTube or whether it be Facebook. And it doesn't happen.
I would love that.
I would love to have it. But for me to, or for us to go as far as submit a complaint and act as if like we are being discriminated against because of that, like specifically.
Wow. But yeah, that's what this forum was about, or this summit was about. I didn't really get any details about what happened at the summit because I don't know. By the time we came on, I just had not read any details about it.
If I come across the information accidentally, I'll read it. But I'm not interested in reading it because I already saw the rhetoric building up to this summit.
Yes.
I already saw all the rhetoric that was building up from some of your more right-leaning commentators. And their position is that they are being discriminated against more so than the left.
Yes.
More so than the left, and their stuff gets taken down and demonetized. And they're specific because of their specific viewpoints. They're unfairly targeted. And I'm just thinking, and I was like, maybe there's a problem with your viewpoints.
Yeah, maybe there's a problem with the content.
Maybe there's a problem with the content because the content, if your content is always violating the terms of service by the letter of the law, by their rules, and your content gets taken down, they're not targeting you. You're just in violation of their terms of service more so than other groups.
More so than other
your
people.
Commentary centers around bigotry and hate.
Exactly.
And I guess incitement of violence against a certain group of people. That seems to be what most of their content is about. So obviously they might be more affected by it.
But then they cry and complain even though they're the ones that are guilty. Ooh.
Snowflake summit, yo.
I don't know everybody that attended. There were some current members of Congress, of course, Republicans. I think Matt Gaetz, that was one of them that that attended this summit. James O'Keefe got an invitation. James O'Keefe.
Project Veritas. James O'Keefe got an invite. What? You got a problem with James O'Keefe? You don't trust his journalistic integrity?
The dude always, every single time, he splices up videos to make things seem more nefarious. No, not more nefarious. Nefarious. Not more nefarious, because these videos aren't nefarious at all, but he splices them up to make them look like they are. The whole Planned Parenthood saga that we lived through, that was all him. That was Project Veritas.
Acorn.
He got an invite. There was also a radio host, of course, far-right radio host. I don't know the individual's name, but he always partakes in what's it called now? I believe it's QAnon. Yes, QAnon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, always is dabbling in the QAnon hysteria.
That's interesting
and
that
controversy,
that person would be
conspiracy
invited to
theory.
that. Interesting.
Very interesting, right?
Coincidence.
Yes, yes. I'm sure. I'm certain that some new QAnon stuff is about to pop. I know it's about to drop. Yo, let me tell you what's going to happen, because we found out some stuff at the White House today.
Oh, so now because he got access. You know, the interesting thing about this summit was like kind of it's centered around free speech as well, right? Free speech, which is interesting because those who attended, right, and those who were invited, they were asked to submit some questions, right? But those questions are going to be screened.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting, right? Like, why are you screening the questions if it's about free speech and providing a platform for everybody so you can voice your opinion about, you know, your free speech being taken away on social media? Why are they screening the questions? Why are they screening the questions?
Don't know.
Interesting enough, though, during the summit, while the summit was going on, or shortly thereafter, Twitter crashed. Twitter went down.
Did it?
Twitter went down. Somebody told me Reddit went down too. But I was like, oh man, here come the conspiracy theorists. Like the same day of the summit, Twitter crashes. Like, oh man, I'm not ready for that, man. I'm not ready for that.
All right, let's leave that alone. All right, Senator Bernie Sanders, current Democratic presidential candidate for 2020, had an interview on MSNBC with Rachel Maddow on Wednesday night. It was a pretty good interview, I believe. There's a few clips that we wanted to show. Actually, they're not, they're audio clips. There's this thing that happens where if we can't find it, if we can't find video of it on YouTube or really anywhere else except for like MSNBC or the site that it originates on, usually that stuff gets taken down on YouTube.
If it's not readily available.
Yeah. And it's always like, why wouldn't it be available? Because somebody's going to talk about it. Somebody's going to clip it. Somebody's going to do something with it.
And it's political commentary.
Yeah.
And that gets a lot of usage amongst people who do political commentary on YouTube. So it falls under fair use. But for some reason, everybody gets hit. I know a lot of people got hit for using clips from the Democratic debate.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I don't think we did.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but that's good.
There's some people who like they had to challenge. Challenge YouTube because they got like some sort of strike on their channel and couldn't stream for like 30 days. They had to challenge that.
I know that the one live video that we did where we showed the interview with Donald Trump and British guy.
Piers Morgan?
Piers Morgan. I knew, I was going to say Pete, but anyway, yeah, Piers Morgan. That got taken down for some reason, even though, of course, again, like we're saying, fair use, political commentary. It's not like we just put the video up without anything whatsoever, but it got blocked for some reason. So, but anyway, so we have some audio clips that we wanted to show, or that we wanted to let you hear. The first one, I just believe Bernie and Rachel Maddow are talking about I guess, the effect that he's had on this current Democratic field and how that does go back to 2016, his 2016 presidential campaign.
In terms of the character of the primary thus far, obviously we're not that far into it. We've only had the one debate, and there's still a ton of people who are in the field. But a lot of people have remarked on the fact that people are playing your song, that a lot of your progressive policy positions that you staked out not only over the course of your career, but in your 2016 campaign, are now much more centrist positions among this field. Is that just a matter of satisfaction for you, or does that give you new work to do?
Well, both. It is a deep sense of satisfaction. I mean, you followed the last campaign. You were there in the debates. And many of the ideas that I brought forth, $15 an hour minimum wage. Hey, Bernie, you're crazy. That's too extreme. In a few days, the U.S. House of Representatives is going to pass a $15 an hour minimum wage. Bernie, public colleges and universities, tuition free, that can't be done. University of Texas today announced for families 60,000 or under free tuition, and all over the country people are moving in that direction. Dealing with student debt, oh Bernie, that can't be done. Well, now you're hearing a whole lot of people understanding that it is an outrage. It really is criminal that you have young people out there who can't get married, can't have kids because they're dealing with incredible rates of student debt right now. Dealing with climate change as a national security issue. I was asked in one debate, I don't know if it was one that you read, Bernie, what is the major national security crisis we face? ISIS, Al-Qaeda, what is? I said it is climate change. And people kind of laughed. Well, they're not laughing today. Healthcare as a human right. Oh, Bernie, that's un-American. Nobody in America believes that. Last poll that I saw, 60-70% of the American people believe in a Medicare for all single-payer program. So the good news is we have moved, not only have we moved the debate, we've moved legislation in states and in the federal government. But now what has to be done, Rachel, and I think I'm the only candidate who will tell you this, is that at the end of the day, it's not good enough to talk about Medicare for all, to talk about being aggressive on climate change. What we have got to do is understand there is a reason why in the last 30 years, the top 1% have seen an increase in their wealth of $21 trillion, while wealth has gone down for the bottom half. Why 500,000 people are sleeping out on the street. Why we are the only major country not to guarantee health care to all people, or parental leave, or sick and medical leave. There is a reason. And the reason is, and what this campaign is about, is finally saying that if you want real change, we need a political revolution. And what does that mean? It means we are going to have to take on Wall Street and the insurance companies and the drug companies and the fossil fuel industry and the military industrial complex and the prison industrial complex. In other words, we can talk about all the great things we want to do, but at the end of the day, to understand why we are where we are, where the middle class is shrinking, where 40 million people are living in poverty, we have to understand the political reality of America and the power structure of America. We are prepared to take those guys on, and that's why I say unapologetically, I am not afraid of those people. They want to condemn me. You know, the billionaires want to condemn me, that I'm an existential threat to the Democratic Party. So be it. We're going to take them on.
Like you said, it was a good interview.
Yeah.
I agreed. So you think Rachel Maddow is turning over a new leaf? You wouldn't go that far. I will say though, one thing she didn't do when she asked that question is poison the well.
Right. She didn't ask it in a certain way.
She didn't ask it in a certain way. It wasn't a leading question. It wasn't a bad faith question. So it was actually a good setup that actually gave Bernie Sanders credit for pushing the Democratic Party to the left, which I was like, oh snap! This is. I was like, is this for real? For real?
But see, we know who Rachel Maddow is, and she was someone at a time, 2015 and before, where many progressives liked her coverage. They liked what she brought to news coverage. So we know that she's a smart individual. A lot of people would have already described her as a progressive.
But who was she covering, though?
Yeah.
Who was she covering? She was covering people like Mitt Romney. Yeah. She was covering Donald Trump. She was covering McCain. She was covering Bush. So it's easy to get the impression that someone is progressive when you're just always doing coverage on people who are to the right.
But even when she would cover Barack Obama and, of course, the opposition to him, still she looked like she was in the right, because I guess especially a lot of at that time, a lot of people did believe that Barack Obama was progressive too. So she never really ran into a situation where she looked questionable until there was an actual progressive versus a centrist running for president. And she took the position to where she was unfair often to Bernie Sanders, in which she was just so welcoming to Hillary Clinton and offer her all kinds of defenses and protectionism.
Which is weird, because I don't think that's something she had to do.
No. She could have just remained objective, but she didn't. But look, in this interview, when I see Bernie Sanders at a rally of his, when I see Bernie Sanders in an interview, he comes off incredibly well. This was not the same type of performance that we saw from him in that first debate. We had much to say, and we had some criticism for him on that first debate. He said a lot of good things. Not to say that it was all negative or he showed just extremely poorly. No, many of the things that he stated were absolutely true. You know, we feel right to our core, but he missed several opportunities to really drive home his point, and to really make the case that he is a different candidate than a lot of these other candidates that were on the stage. So, but in an interview like this, he gets across his message exceptionally well. I don't have anything negative to say about it.
Yeah, and one thing that I did like that he did was kind of take ownership of who he was and who he was going after. Because in previous interviews and in previous debates, he seemed a little reluctant to do that, take ownership of who he was going after, where the problem lies, who the enemy is, who is sucking the wealth from the citizens and the American people. He's kind of reluctant to do that. He would mention it, but it just didn't seem like he wanted to put that on himself.
Yeah. He tied it all up in
towards the end of that clip. He was like, "Yeah, that's who I am. Right. I don't really care about the hate I get. Right. I'm willing to receive it, and we're going to come at you regardless of what you send my way. We're going to respond in kind. We're going to say, yeah, you guys are." What? I don't know. Oh, you know what? he kind of did do that. Remember on that interview? Yeah. He like made that dude flinch. Yeah. That's essentially what he's doing now. He's like, and I think he has to do that. This is who I am. I think he needs that kind of confidence, and the more he does interviews like this, where he kind of essentially comes clean about what he represents and who he's going after, then hopefully that might translate to the debates.
Right. So in the next clip, this is right after the clip that we just played for you, but Rachel Maddow asked him about Mitch McConnell, you know, and a lot of people have been asking that question. Hey, you know, Democratic hopeful, if you get into the White House, what are you going to do if Mitch McConnell is still there? The Republicans still have majority of the Senate, and you have to deal with them. What are you going to do? So here is Bernie Sanders' reply.
In terms of how that translates practically, I'm hearing echoes of your first answer in the debate in Miami, when the question was something along the lines of what do you want to do first? And you talked about this need for a political revolution and the need to sort of take on multi-front battles all at the same time. If you were elected president in 2020, odds are, I don't know, let's guess, 50-50 that Senator Mitch McConnell would still be the leader of the Republicans in the Senate and they'd still hold the majority there. You know from being in the Senate what that means in terms of the power of getting legislation through. If, I know you don't want McConnell to still be there. Right. If he is still there, what would you put on his plate first? What would be your first legislative priority?
I'll tell you, before I put anything on his plate, I would be in the state of Kentucky holding a rally with tens of thousands of people to say to what is in fact one of the poorest states in this country, a real struggling state in Kentucky, that we need to raise the minimum wage, a state which is really suffering for lack of health care. We're going to rally the American people in Kentucky. We're going to rally the American people in Mississippi. We're going to rally the people in South Carolina to demand that their representatives, I know this is a radical idea, actually do what the American people want. The point that I make over and over again, Rachel, is the ideas that I talk about are ideas that the American people want. They don't get it because you got a Congress indebted to wealthy campaign contributors. And by the way, whether you call it socialism or social democracy or progressive government, everything that I'm talking about exists in countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, where they have health care for all, where they have strong universal child care programs, where college education is free. These are not radical ideas, but we need to rally the American people by the millions. That's what I mean by a political revolution. And as president, that's what I will help lead. We will give Mitch McConnell something he cannot afford to refuse. And that is, we're going to give him millions of people demanding that he take action on the issues impacting the working class of this country.
That's another good answer by Bernie Sanders. I like where he took it. And really, the first time I heard him say something like this, I remember it was when he was running for president in 2016, and he was being interviewed by Chris Matthews on MSNBC as well. And it was kind of like that townhouse kind of forum. They were sitting in chairs, you know, that kind of forum. And he kept asking him, how are you going to get this done? How are you going to get this done? How are you going to get this done? How are you going to get that done? And he's responding, he's like, I'm going to appeal to the American people. Because without them, nothing can get done. I'm going to have to look, you put me in office for a reason. If these politicians, if these congressmen, congresswomen, if they aren't doing the job, if they aren't acting to progress this legislation forward, either you need to convince them to do it or you need to vote them out. We all knew that it was going to take a long time. If somebody like Bernie Sanders got into office, it wasn't going to be a quick fix. It's going to take a long time. I mean, we don't know if it would take his whole presidency. I don't know. But it would take a movement, the political revolution. It would take people to come together and either punish these Congress members for not doing the right thing or replace them. That's the only way we get forward.
I like the sarcasm. there. You might have missed it when he was talking about prompting people, I guess, to petition their representatives to work for them. Right. He's like, no, it's a radical idea, but he's being sarcastic, but he's basically pointing out that that's how it should be. It's kind of gangster, too, how he said he was going to deal with McConnell, go to his state. Like,
first step.
That's the first step. I'm going to go to your hood, and I'm going to tell on you to your people. And I'm going to show your people that you're not working for them.
One of the poorest states, too.
Yes, it's one of the poorest states. I think Kentucky, I think it has the highest. I think they're like number one. I'm not sure if it was this year, but recently, they were like number one as far as like food stamp usage or something like that.
Again, man, he showed incredibly well in that first clip too. I remember the debate he was talking about when I think it was towards the end of the debate, and the candidates were asked the question about, what's the existential threat to, or what's the
biggest threat
what's
to
the biggest
United
threat
States?
to the United States? Maybe not existential, but what's the biggest threat to the United States? And I don't know. Clinton said ISIS. I can't remember who.
I heard Russia.
Yeah.
Did somebody say Iran? I can't remember.
I think I heard North Korea.
North Korea.
Yeah. And then Bernie Sanders says climate change. And he took a lot of flack for that. Climate change. What are you talking about? And what do you see with all of these candidates now? Most of them have climate change right at the top of their list, right? Hey,
that doesn't make any
sense. Something about
sense.
Climate change.
It's at the top of their list, and him saying that, that being his answer during the debate is not that unreasonable.
Yes, but he was the only one that may have had the courage to say it, or think to say it, whatever. Because when you hear a question like that, of course you're always thinking about militarily. Who's the biggest threat? Is it Iran? Is it South? Is it North Korea? Is it Russia? Is it China?
Think about the mindset, though.
Yeah.
Think about the mindset. As far as the answers that they gave, what's the biggest threat? Most of their kind of analysis centers around almost like a kind of, I don't know, like a war hawk mentality.
No doubt. It's exactly that. Syria, all of that.
Okay, all right. How does this answer compare to like Joe Biden's answer about being able to get stuff done and what he would do?
You mean, are you talking about Joe Biden's answer going back in history and be like, all we have to do is like love one another, and not treat segregationists like they're the enemy?
Cordial.
Be
nice
cordial to
and
each other.
civil. That's how
civility.
we get stuff done. Because that's essentially how he answered that question. Because Biden was asked the same question.
Yeah.
It didn't involve any kind of strategy.
No. It involved nothing.
It involved
nothing.
Pleasantries.
That's it.
Pleasantries are going to get things done.
Yeah. All we got to do is be nice to each other. And, we'll work together. We'll get things done. Okay. So if you're nice, the segregationists will stop being so hateful. Okay.
They're all to their agenda. They'll definitely alter
because
their
you're
agenda.
so nice to them.
But see, in each case,
I guess remarked on how nice of a hat they were wearing today. Hey, it's a sharp hat. Where'd you get it from? Marshall's. Okay.
You think he really believes that though? Like, how naive do you have to be? Do you really think he believes that? This is why Biden does not match up to Bernie Sanders.
This is why Biden does not match up to Hillary Clinton.
Oh, damn. Yeah, Biden does seem much worse than Hillary Clinton.
Yes. And that's something to say right there. That is definitely something to say, man. All right. Let's go to let's go to Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Before that, let's go to Steyer for a second, since this is
Presidential. Yeah, that's cool.
So we talked about Tom Steyer, right? No. Damn, I forgot his name. Paul? No. You don't even remember.
I don't know his name.
I thought it was Tom. Is it not? No, it's not Tom.
Tom. No, it's Tom.
It's Tom.
It's Tom.
See, you got me all off, dog. Tom Steyer, all right. So, Tom Steyer, the billionaire, the activist, the founder of Next Gen America, an environmental advocacy group. He's running for president. Made his official announcement, I believe it was Tuesday, and we talked about it. He can't. We showed a little bit of his initial campaign video that he put out on social media. He wants to reform the political process. At least that's what he's. I guess that's at the forefront of his candidacy. Reforming the political process, addressing climate change. Those are his big initiatives. So on Thursday, he put out a statement from his campaign, and he said that his focus would be on solving those two major crises, reforming the broken political system, saving our planet from the ravages of climate change. So he said, quote, unless we end the corporate corruption of our democracy, we won't be able to pass any of the great plans put forward by the Democratic candidates for president. Here's the difference between me and the other candidates. I don't think we can fix our democracy from the inside. I don't believe Washington and big corporations will let that happen, end quote. So, look, that's a very similar message to what Bernie Sanders professes. Mm-hmm. It's a very similar thing that, you hear me and Mike talk about all the time as well. These are big dreams that we have. We want progress in a lot of different areas: criminal justice reform, militarily, healthcare, taxes, minimum wage. I mean, we got big dreams, no doubt. But there's no way anything like any of these different areas. There's no way we reach progress on any of them, real progress, until we do address the corruption in our political system.
He did kind of mention that too. I think he mentioned Citizens United as well.
He did. Of course that has to be addressed. That's not the only thing. It definitely wasn't the only ruling. But still, all of this has to be addressed in a meaningful way. So look, I like his campaign message. I mean, I like the way he's going with it. Now, other candidates have responded to his inclusion into this race. And, Bernie Sanders had to make some comments. Elizabeth Warren made some comments as well. I believe Kirsten Gillibrand. And most of all, like Bernie Sanders is saying, that he knows Tom Steyer. He's a friend of his, blah, blah, blah. I think he wants to do the right thing, this and that. But he doesn't believe that a billionaire should be the one tasked with getting things done. He doesn't think that's the right look, right? And maybe not even just about the optics, but maybe if he would actually do the right thing. I'm not sure. I don't think he actually went there to suggest that Tom Steyer is bullshit in what he's trying to do, but
basically saying it's like he's a capitalist at heart.
Yeah. Now Tom Steyer, and I guess in response to some of this criticism about him, him using his money to
gain access
to push forward his message and his candidacy. He said something like, well, look, all these front runners, including Bernie Sanders, Biden, all of them have been in office for decades, and we haven't gotten anywhere. So, I don't know, I guess we got to do something different. We got to do something meaningful. Like I said, it was just like they really didn't really hit each other. It was kind of tame. But, I don't know. Like I said, I like Tom Steyer's message. Well, we do have to address that he was a hedge fund manager back in the past. He ran one of the largest hedge funds in the United States He ran that for, I believe, 26 years. He got out of that business, I believe, in 2012. And I guess that lined up with his new venture. Next Gen America, in 2013.
So do you think he was kind of using the system in order to push forth, like, I guess, more, a progressive agenda?
Well,
as a kind of a personal venture? Was he just kind of using the system for...
Well, on the last program, you asked, did he have like a come to Jesus moment?
Yeah.
I think that would be more likely because some of the investments that hedge fund made were in private prisons, in coal. So I don't think this would have been a long play from him. You know, like, okay, well, I'm going to use this and then I'm going to do something. I don't think you can do that and invest in those types of industries.
And just do like a 180.
No, I don't think so. But he did say, so he did have a comment about that past that he has. And the name of the hedge fund, too, is, I think, Farallon. But anyway, he said, quote, I deeply regret that Farallon made that investment, and I personally ordered the investment in CCA to be sold because it did not accord with my values then or now, end quote. And CCA, of course, is Corrections Corps of America. And there was a $34 million investment in 2005 with Farallon, his hedge fund.
So I guess at least you could say he divested.
Yes, he got out of the business. I wouldn't say that somebody can't reform themselves. I would not say that. It is a bad look when you're a billionaire and you have that past. It is a bad look regardless. If you're trying to do the right thing, I would have to be really sure that you're really about it, though. I would really have to be convinced that you have come to see the light, and also the error of your ways.
Also, to me, it's more about, like, not just you, right? Because this is only one guy. Mm-hmm. It's what kind of influence he can have over the other billionaires.
That's true.
That's what I would want to see.
Yeah.
Not just whether he has had his come to Jesus moment and figured out that he is kind of profiteering off of this system. Mm-hmm. I would want to see him convince other billionaires of the same thing too. And like you said, you
still live in capitalism.
Still live in capitalism.
I don't think that's possible.
That's why I think like a message like his will be good to have during the debates, regardless of how viable he is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like he's very viable. Just looking at the polls and the numbers, right. I don't know how much movement he can make. But I think he would be good to have at the debates. He's obviously not going to get any direct questions, so he's going to have to play that role where he kind of chimes in.
Bill de Blasio.
And kind of like inserts himself into the conversation. And judging from his platform, it looks like he would definitely have a lot of opportunities to do that. So if anything, I think that he is going to provide some kind of value to a debate if he gets
that far. I think he's way too late in this process. He is very well known, but not by regular people. Again, him and his wife, I believe, are the number 2 in history in terms of political donations, ever. So in political circles, everybody knows who this guy is. Everybody knows who he is. But if you're talking about just a regular person, if you say the name Tom Steyer, you gonna, is that gonna connect any dots for you? Actually, sometimes when I would hear his name, this was months ago, when I would hear his name, I would think of Steny Hoyer. Because Steyer, Steny,
Steny.
I would think of Steny Hoyer. His face never ever, I just never got his face in my head. So, of course I knew who he was, but again, he doesn't have that national recognition.
And see, that's the thing. He's not in this first round of debates.
Yeah.
So
he would have had to start.
He would have had to start. He would at least have to be in the debates in order to, I guess, increase his visibility and increase, the interest people might have.
He had the money to do it, but if he used that money months ago, maybe.
Now I don't know how he's going to kind of, I guess, raise his poll status. I don't know how he's going to do that.
He said he plans to spend $100 million.
But how? I mean, it's like just political ads is not going to do it. Political ads and revolving billboards are just not going to do it. Social media, it's still just not going to do it. You still have to have like national visibility. Mm-hmm. You still have to have people covering you. You still have to actually do interviews on the networks, and you have to follow that up with a good debate performance, which he's not going to be involved in. So,
also, where would his support come from? Because at this point, we're still early on. I totally get that, because I even say you got to take these polls with a grain of salt, a pound of salt at this point.
Yeah, like the last NBC poll that has Biden first, Warren second, and
Kamala.
Yeah, Kamala and Bernie tied at fourth.
Right.
And I was like, I looked at the sample size, and it was like 800 or 1,000. I can't remember. It was a small sample size.
So we're still at the beginning. He definitely has time to increase his support. But still, at this point, there's a lot of people that have already attached their support to somebody. So you would have to look at who is he getting that support from? Like, who is he pulling from? With his message, he would have to pull for somebody progressive. Somebody like a Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren.
So he wouldn't pull from, like, Booker, Gillibrand, Klobuchar.
I don't think so.
Buttigieg or O'Rourke.
No, because see, they're more viable. They're already looked at as more viable. Why would people switch off?
And even if they're supporters, and even if they drop off, any number of the people I listed, whoever, if they drop out, their second choice, a third choice, and fourth choice is not going to be.
I doubt it.
Steyer.
He's going to have to put on a hell of a ground game. I mean, some ads like we never seen before, a push like we've never seen before, because this is late in the game. I just don't see how he can get to relevancy. Maybe he could get to I think his best chance is this next second debate, but the clock is ticking on that. He only has until next week, because July 18th is when CNN is going to be holding that live event where they're going to be drawing names,
like a damn NBA lottery or some shit.
Yes, to see who's going to appear on the stage on the back-to-back nights. That's on the 18th. That is next Thursday. So he has that much time. That's it. He has a week, less than a week.
Ain't happening. It ain't happening, Chief. Like, I don't mean to be pessimistic, but I'm just.
Yeah, I don't see how he can do it.
I don't see how he can do it. I don't care how much money he puts into it. I just don't see how he can do it.
All right. Let me. Let's go.
You go to Cap, or you?
Yeah, let's go to Cap, because really we got Cap and we got possibly Ice. We got the licking. Yeah, that's all we got.
Oh gosh, I almost forgot about that one, man.
The licking, yeah, we got that.
Oh.
All right. So all right. How do we even set this up? There's a lot of animosity towards one Colin Kaepernick, the former quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. Recently, this animosity is because it appears as though he talked to Nike about a shoe that was due to be released that featured the Betsy Ross flag, the 13 stars, that original flag. And he talked to Nike and said how this was a bad look, it was offensive, shouldn't do it. Nike pulled it, didn't release it, leading to a lot of people being very angry, even more angry now with Colin Kaepernick, because of course the anger originated with Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the playing of the national anthem, and now he's doing something I guess this is even more anti-US, unpatriotic. Not allowing the 13 stars to be on a Nike shoe that they weren't even going to buy anyway, because they don't even like Nike.
They already boycotted
Nike.
Already
because of the commercial, because of the ad campaign, the Just Do It ad campaign. You remember that? They were burning Nike shoes and socks and all of this, right? They weren't going to buy it anyway, but they're so mad. So anyway, on Wednesday, the NRCC, which is the National Republican Congressional Committee, they sent out a fundraising email in support of Donald Trump, and at the same time, it was in opposition to Colin Kaepernick. The NRCC sent out an email, fundraising email, to be
This
like,
is a
yeah,
fundraising
Trump, no Colin Kaepernick.
Basically to energize Trump's campaign.
Yes. Weird.
Is Colin Kaepernick on the ballot? Number one. Okay, that's my first question. Has any prominent Democrat or Democrat running for president or any office, I'll even go back to the midterms, have they kind of centered Colin Kaepernick in their platform? Has Colin Kaepernick promoted any particular candidate? So what is this really about? Because it doesn't make any sense that they would juxtapose, Trump and Kaepernick. Now, it makes sense seeing as there's Trump inserted himself into the whole NFL kneeling, yes. Right. But if this is about a campaign and fundraising effort to support Trump, it would make more sense to juxtapose Trump against somebody who's running.
Yes.
So,
or even current Democratic politicians that aren't running.
It doesn't matter.
But I think it would have to contain that kind of segment of people.
So there's something else going on here. And they're telling on themselves.
So it was noticed that there was something weird about the picture, right? So first of all, let's show you what the picture looks like. All right. So this is the picture that was contained in this email, and it says, "Who do you stand with? Donald Trump and the Betsy Ross flag, or anti-American Colin Kaepernick?"
Again, Colin Kaepernick ain't running for shit. Like, this don't even make any sense.
Nah, it really doesn't make sense.
Oh, so if it doesn't make sense, we have to figure out what's behind the rationale behind this and what type of rationale they're trying to appeal to. Right. So you have to go to symbology here, and what does Colin Kaepernick represent to them?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And this, looking at that graphic and looking at this kind of strategy that they're using, to me, it reveals something about them, and it reveals something about who they're trying to appeal to, and they're just telling on themselves. Because what do they chide people on the left for doing when it comes to America? Criticizing America for kind of being an oppressive regime in certain cases, being an imperialist regime.
In terms of how that translates practically.
Or you can go to, let's say, some sentiments that Martin Luther King used to issue out about the United States. And he called the United States the greatest purveyor of violence on the planet. So essentially, people on the right chide those on the left for trying to, petition the United States to uphold the values that it claims to represent. And they don't like that.
No, they do not.
All right. So, Colin Kaepernick does what? He highlights an issue of state violence. He highlights police brutality and who that affects. So, essentially, them trying to put themselves on the opposite side of that, to me, says something about them.
It does. And the way they're doing it, though, is, I think it's very easy to see because, again, the issue here is Nike's plans, their original plans to feature that Betsy Ross flag on the shoe. This is what got them all up in their feelings, the Betsy Ross flag on the shoe. The Betsy Ross flag was created, this was in the 1700s. This was around the Revolutionary War, right? Now, the 13 stars represents the 13 original colonies, which were all slave-owned colonies. So that's why there would have been a furor about this. That's why there would have been angst about this, because why would you put that on a shoe? It's something different. Like, you could say that the current American flag, you could say that there's been a lot of abuse, a lot of atrocities under that flag, and we should adopt a new one. Actually, I wouldn't be against that. I wouldn't be against that idea at all. But the flag as we know it today, the 50 states, the 50 stars, those weren't 50 slave-owning states, right? You can say that at least. They weren't. I believe that was adopted in 1960, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So of course that was around the civil rights era, civil rights movement era. There were again lots of atrocities, much to I guess feel in opposition towards that flag about, because that flag didn't represent us all at that time. So I can understand that. But when you harken back all the way back in time to the original 13 colonies in which black people were treated as subhuman, I don't see how anybody, no matter what color of skin that you had, I don't see how anybody could feel the warm and fuzzies about that in particular.
Because what does that represent?
It represents oppression.
It represents oppression. It represents state violence,
It
essentially.
does.
That's why I'm saying, that's why they are proving, like, our point.
Mm-hmm.
People on the left, they are proving our point by being so against Colin Kaepernick. Because people on the left's point is that the United States has a history
Right.
of state violence. So by putting themselves in opposition to Colin Kaepernick and saying that like somehow he is anti-American and unpatriotic, right? They are essentially admitting that being American and the United States does represent state violence and being oppressive.
Right.
That's what they, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I guess unintentionally?
Unintentionally.
I guess.
Right, because if you're saying, he's unpatriotic, Colin Kaepernick's unpatriotic,
The
then
views that he's espousing.
He's espousing, and what he is doing in his activism, he is unpatriotic. Then when you look at like what he stands up for, then he's like, wait a second. Then they are saying that America is about those things. So they're proving our point.
So there's another side to this as well too, and it appears that somebody noticed that Colin Kaepernick's image looks a little bit different. So they compared the image that was shown in that fundraising email to the original picture of Colin Kaepernick that was displayed. So side by side, they look like this. So the original picture is on the left, and as you can see, he looks a little lighter, a little bit more caramel. You know, a little bit more caramel,
A little creamier.
little creamier.
Creamier.
And the picture that went out in the email, the fundraising email, he looks, I would say, significantly darker. So one can only beg to know why somebody would
Go out of their way.
go out of their way to darken Colin Kaepernick's image
Because look,
to fundraise,
it doesn't look like
to sell their message.
it doesn't look like the entire image is darkened either.
No, it doesn't.
It just looks like
this
his
is purposeful.
skin is darkened.
Yes. So again, this is something that a lot of people are pointing out, and there's this one Twitter profile, and I believe it's Vote Vets on Twitter, and they said if the NRCC intentionally darkened Kaepernick's skin, then forget apologies. They ought to be forced to explain to America why they believe darker skin makes someone look worse in their eyes, and any answer they could give would be un-American.
I vibe with that, but I don't vibe with that at the same time. Because in their eyes, in those people's eyes, those who issued this type of campaign strategy and the people they will appeal to, they think that's American.
They do. They do. In actuality, it isn't. If we are to believe what America actually represents, then it doesn't jive with their message whatsoever.
If we were actually to believe that.
Yes, if we were actually.
But
to
that would be
believe
ahistorical, though.
that. It would. It definitely would. This is disgusting. So at this point, we don't know whose hands were actually behind it, but you can see the difference in the pictures is obvious. Somebody went out of their way to darken his skin complexion. And again, I think that does beg the question: why do you think that is more un-American? Why do you think that is more, I guess, scary or more of a threat to what you think is America?
After we got through with Tuesday's broadcast, we kind of talked about Colin Kaepernick a bit.
We did.
And compared him to maybe past athletes that were very vocal and outspoken about social issues and politics and whatnot. And like, I think we both came to the conclusion that these people are like up in arms and getting agitated and outraged over individual that's very soft-spoken and not very aggressive and not very, let's say, I'll say compared to Muhammad Ali.
Right.
Actually, I don't see any athlete today in this current age that is as boastful and in your face with his views as Muhammad Ali. There's nobody I can point to now that is. Colin Kaepernick is the only one, and he is very soft, well, not just with his delivery, but his presentation of like why he chooses to focus on certain issues and highlight certain issues. Is very soft-spoken.
Yes.
So it's like, I'm just wondering, I'm like, man, I wonder if Muhammad
what would they be saying?
What would they be saying about Muhammad Ali today?
My goodness.
Because this month, most of people who watch this show are aware of Muhammad Ali, but, you know, just go back and watch some Muhammad Ali clips. He was like...
in your face, man.
He was confident.
Oh, yeah.
He was arrogant. He
doubt.
was boastful. Yeah. He was like, I mean, he did not mince any words.
Nope.
And I'm just thinking, I was like, man.
And he was articulate.
And he was articulate. And I'm like, there's really nobody like him in the sports world now, but yet you still see all these people.
You would think Kaepernick is him. You would think.
Yo, you would think Kaepernick is like, I don't know, like Muhammad Ali,
Malcolm X,
Khalid Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? You know Khalid Muhammad.
My goodness, man.
Woo! If you
On
ever
steroids,
if you go look up Khalid Muhammad Donahue, you'd be like, yeah. So it's almost like they're projecting that onto him, even though he's not that. No, and we know good and well they wouldn't even be able to handle somebody like Muhammad Ali. They're making it like he's like some.
Yeah, he's a hero now.
He's like some super duper Black Panther, Black Power, talking about like kill Whitey and stuff like that. You would think.
You would think. And see, and before Colin Kaepernick ever even took a knee, and before he took a knee, he was sitting. Before that even happened, there was another individual that was doing the same thing. Marshawn Lynch.
That's right.
Marshawn Lynch sat all the time. I believe he was retired now, but until he retired, he retired, came back, retired again. But he sat all the time. Now, he was never, I guess, forthright about why he was sitting. He never really explained it. He didn't want to explain it. He never explained it. You know, he didn't like to talk to the media. He never explained it. So it didn't really get much press whatsoever. But Colin Kaepernick, he was asked the question, and he actually came forward with what was going on and why he actually did what he did. So it can't be the act of the sitting or the kneeling. It can't be that.
Because Colin Kaepernick was kneeling. Your boy Marshawn Lynch, he was eating Skittles on the bench.
If anything was, like, if you take the two, which one's more disrespectful?
And they wasn't red, white, and blue Skittles either.
No. I mean, I don't think either one of them was disrespectful. But if you are going to say one over the other was more disrespectful, it had to be Marshawn Lynch. But nobody said nothing about him. President Trump never said a damn thing about him.
You know what's interesting?
So it can't be the kneeling. It can't be that act of kneeling. It had to be the words that Colin Kaepernick spoke.
Exactly. Because Colin Kaepernick was kneeling the whole preseason.
That's true.
The entire preseason.
2016.
So you would think that if it was affecting like the environment of the football game, right? And it was destroying the entire experience, right? For fans. No fans said anything. He was doing it the entire preseason. Nobody said a damn thing. Right? So if it was so hard for people, why did like Kaepernick kneeling not elicit such a response from the people that were actually in the stadium? It only happened, like the fallout only happened and it only occurred when Colin Kaepernick
opened his mouth
when he was asked about it in the locker room.
Yes, so it had to be the words that he spoke. Oh, hold on, you're talking about problems in America. Well, we can get down with problems in America because conservatives always talk about problems in America, but just a different set of problems from their vantage point. So I guess the problem really was that Colin Kaepernick was talking about, like you said, state violence, talking about how police officers were getting compensation while they were on administrative leave for killing unarmed black people.
Yo, check this out.
Not being held accountable.
I wonder if he kind of had a different grievance where people have the same reaction? Like, what if he was like, yo, man, as long as these babies keep getting aborted, I'm going to keep kneeling.
Like we said, it wasn't the kneeling.
If he said, as long as abortion goes on in the United States, I'm kneeling, you know good and well they would have been like, yeah, that's the one we need. Social activists. He would have been into the White House. He would have been invited to CPAC.
That's a black guy we can deal with.
You know it. You know it. Until we fix this illegal immigration problem,
I'm going to take a knee.
I'm going to take a knee. You know good and well they would not.
Until we build that wall, I'm taking a knee. Man, come on, man. I will say, man, like I said, we Colin Kaepernick and others never made it about the national anthem per se, but you know me. I makes it about the national anthem, right? You know,
but because that does open up another conversation, because people love to talk about the sanctity and the purity of it. So then that opens up another conversation. That's where you kind of chimed in.
Yes, all the time. And I think as time goes on, because again, it was education for me a few years back about really like where it came from, who wrote the song and all of that. It was an education. I didn't know that until just a few years ago. But now I feel, Francis Scott Key was the author, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked about him in his past, and I guess what his inspiration for the song was, the War of 1812, and blah blah blah. We've talked all about that. We talked about the other stanzas. I guess you would call them stanzas, right?
Yeah.
We talked
paragraphs,
about whatever. You talked about the other parts of the song that are not part of the Star Spangled, verses that are not part of the Star Spangled Banner, and how those are offensive. But you know what? I don't even need that. We don't even need to even go back and reference Francis Scott Key at all. One of the things that stick out to me is the ending part of the song. How does it go? Land of the free?
Land of the free, home of the brave.
Land of the free, home of the brave, right? Now, this was written in 1814, I believe. Who was free in 1814 and who was not? This is why I can't stand people just doing things, When I go to an event now, even if I see it on TV and I see just everybody stand for the Star Spangled Banner, it makes me sick to my stomach. Literally. It creates like a nauseating feeling in me because people are just doing things that have become the norm. But there's no way in hell that song ever represented black people. Never, not once did it ever represent black people. So why the hell would I ever stand for that? I can't unlearn that. I can't unlearn that knowledge. So if I can't unlearn it, there's no way I'm going to just do as regular people do and just accept that, hey, this is the national anthem. This is how we celebrate America and be proud. Nah.
So what are you saying? You think we need a new song?
I think we need a new song.
A new song, a new anthem?
I think we need a new anthem. The same way that the Confederate flag, you remember there was all that uproar in South Carolina, especially, right? Because it was at the grounds of the State House. Mm-hmm. And there was a 20-year battle to get it off the grounds of the State House, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't represent all of us.
So you're saying we're grown up now. So just like how you don't sing Sesame Street songs anymore, usually, you don't.
To a lesser extent.
To a lesser extent. You got kids now.
Yes,
but you don't sing them, but like your own appeasement.
Right.
You don't sing them because you're just like, rocking out to this.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? Rocking out to this, Sesame Street song, or rocking out to this, whatever, Cartoon Network jingle or whatever, or Nickelodeon. You grew up.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like that. You took it to a animated level.
Well, no, I put it on a personal level.
Yeah, I'm
just saying, like, the things that you kind of, I don't know, the things that you were drawn to as a child, and the things you thought represented you as a child are no longer there.
Right.
And so you sing other songs, you watch other things. You're not walking around here, what I used to watch, like Care Bears, Smurfs, stuff like that. I'm not out here, reciting, my favorite lines from those shows. If I do it, it's more nostalgic. But as a child, I'm more or less like kind of in tune to that world because that's my world. I'm immature, but now I'm grown up, so there's different entertainment that represents who I am.
True.
Whether it be song, whatever. I think the same should apply to the United States too.
But it's more serious though.
It's more serious. And
because like those songs that you're talking about are not offensive. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, you would, even if you're a grown up, not singing them because you've grown up and you have, you know, it's just not something you're interested in. With the Star Spangled Banner, that shit is offensive. It's not just that we have grown up. It's that, you know, we should have to move
past it. We basically, you move past it.
We move. Look, again, after Dylan Roof in Charleston, this state, South Carolina, wanted to move past the Confederate flag. And I celebrated that decision because I was all for that back in the day, trying to get it off of the state grounds because they didn't represent us all. So if something does not represent us all and is actually offensive to a large segment of us, it should be removed and maybe replaced.
Yeah, I think that's why it's disingenuous for people who want to kind of retain those symbols to, you know, I guess chide those on the left or progressive for wanting to get rid of those symbols.
Right.
Because what they draw from as far as national pride comes from symbols. They prove that point every day. They develop a sense of pride, a sense of being from those symbols, so they understand how symbols work and how symbols are used to influence how people think. So if symbols represent something, you can't deny that, right? If symbols represent something, then it kind of invokes certain attitudes and beliefs. They understand that.
Of course, because they have annual reenactments.
They have annual reenactments, so they understand what these symbols breed in people's consciousness. So I don't think it's out of bounds or unreasonable to say that, wait a second, if these symbols do influence attitudes and beliefs and not just, you know, historical nostalgia, then yes, some of those attitudes and beliefs that those symbols represent will kind of manifest in those people. That's why you have to get rid of those symbols.
Exactly. All right, so we got one more that is disgusting. Anyway, actually, before that, though, non-political news, what a lot of people probably don't even want to hear about, some sports news. Breaking news.
Breaking?
Russell Westbrook was just traded to Houston Rockets for Chris Paul. I know y'all don't want to hear that, but I just saw that notification. We dabble in sports a little bit, so...
the West is about to be wild, son.
Yeah.
It's about to be a wild West.
That's crazy.
I wonder how Chris Paul feels.
Not good.
Not good.
I wonder if they they can't buy out that contract. Good gosh. Wow.
I mean, but see, it makes sense, though, because they both had big contracts. So the only way to do a trade would be to find somebody with the same contract, kind of.
All right.
That's crazy.
L Train up in here. See, I don't got my Brooklyn hat, man. I had my Brooklyn hat for you on Tuesday, L Train. Brooklyn Nets, man. Anyway, let's get to our last story. I'm sure a lot of people, most people are probably aware of this current phenomenon, this current, I guess, thing that is happening.
It's like I don't even want to call it a challenge.
No, it's not. It's just
like a prank / I don't know what it is. I don't even know what to call it.
I don't know either. It's a stupid thing that's just being done by even stupider people, right? So we've seen the videos. The first video, really, the viral video where the young girl, not young, I mean, I don't know how young she is. Actually, I think she's a minor. I think she might be a minor.
Think so?
I heard something.
So. I don't think so. I
can't
remember.
You know what? I might, because there was another one.
Another
one was a minor, and they didn't release her name, but then there was another. Anyway, so the story is about, you've seen the video where the female is in the Walmart. She opens up, the door to the freezer section, takes out
Bluebell?
Yeah, a tub of Bluebell ice cream. She licks it, puts it back. She's laughing, blah blah blah. Lots of people were disgusted by this video, no doubt. There's a very big investigation. People wanted to know who she was. She's still unidentified. I don't think anybody knows her name as of yet. But I did see that she was arrested. there was a report that she was arrested. I don't know when she was arrested, but anyway, they believe it happened on June 28th at a Walmart in Lufkin, Texas, about 11 p.m. that night. So she could face a charge, a second-degree felony charge of tampering with a consumer product. So like I said, lots of people were mortified by this. You know, I mean, nobody wants you tampering with food and then putting it back. You don't know what people have. You know, you putting germs on that. It's just completely disgusting.
You can have like some sort of virus or disease. So it's a health
and even
hazard.
if you don't, there's a lot of people with weakened immune systems.
Weakened immune system.
So you don't know what you are doing to people.
But I'm saying, if I had a weakened immune system, you know, I know good and well I'd only eat stuff that has a tamper-proof seal.
Oh hell yeah!
And it didn't look like the ice cream she licked, Bluebell, had a tamper-proof seal because she took it straight out.
She took it straight out, just to open it straight up.
Open it straight up. I was like, I thought, I guess I don't buy ice cream enough or whatever, but I thought they all had tamper-proof seals, but
I don't know. You would think they should. But anyway, so like I said, that was disgusting, no doubt. Lots of people think so. I don't know if anybody thinks, well, obviously some people think it's funny because there have been some people that are imitating this now. There have been other instances where people are reaching into these doors, you know, in these grocery stores, licking them.
I'm like, dang, like just lick it, like at least take a bite if you're gonna do that.
Yeah,
at least like,
you know,
get a spoon and like, take a, you know what I'm saying? It's just.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I'll leave that until we deal with the connected story. So all right, so like I said, there's been a lot of imitators now. A lot of people trying to do the same thing. So in Florida, this was in Jacksonville, I believe. A woman named Corey Ward was arrested and charged with tampering with a consumer product. And this is because they were her and her daughter were at a medical office for whatever reason. And it appears as though her daughter took out one of the tongue depressors, licked it, and then put it back.
It was wooden?
It was wooden. Licked it, put it back. And actually we have video of it.
Now, how did you know, we get this video? How was this video obtained? Like,
this video was obtained because the mother, I believe, Corey Ward, was recording and posted it to Snapchat.
So essentially, her mother got her got.
Yeah,
she got.
Well, it wasn't. The kid, I believe, is a minor, so the kid is not in trouble. It's the mother that's in trouble. The mother that did not actually lick the damn tongue depressor. Yes.
So she did not actually.
Yeah.
So I guess she's considered like an accomplice.
I guess so. I don't know if they're gonna do anything to the daughter or not. But yeah. It was the mother that was recording, I believe, and then she posted it.
They still have like actions they do take against minors.
Yeah,
they still do take actions against minors when they do something illegal. Like, I don't understand why they're not dealing with her and just dealing with the mother, because she's the one who just recorded it. I'm not.
Yeah, it was in the exam room at the All About Kids and Families Medical Center in Jacksonville, and again, yeah, she posted it to Snapchat.
So now this whole, I guess you would call licking trend has spun off into licking other things.
Yes,
I saw a video where a woman, she drunk some mouthwash. I don't know what store she was in. She was in Target, Walmart. It was a grocery store. And she unsealed the cap, opened it up, took a swig, and then put it back in the bottle, and then put it back on the shelf.
See, you deserve to get your ass beat for that.
That's an ass whooping right there.
That is an ass whooping. No doubt. I don't care if you're an adult. Yeah, you should probably get an ass whooping for that.
Like, at least get kicked in your chest.
Yeah, something like that. I'm like, cave that chest in. Like, I don't, woman, man, it doesn't matter. doesn't matter. So, look, when you do some crazy, disgusting ish like this, you should definitely be penalized for it. So I have no problem with these people being arrested. They should be arrested. They should get a really stupid sentence, some penalty, something like that. I mean, it should hurt.
Oh,
it should definitely hurt.
I'm talking about like soft corporal punishment. You know, when I say soft corporal punishment, I'm talking about like they gotta do some like as a part of their punishment, they gotta do some fear factor type shit.
That's what like hold something above their head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can't put your arms down or something stupid's really gonna happen
Something
to you.
stupid is like we're gonna have something nasty up there.
Something gonna
and
happen.
if you let go, it's all gonna be on you.
Yep.
Like some fear factor type shit.
The
like
punishment has to be real dumb, man. Real dumb and real damaging to that person. You know what I'm saying? Not like long lasting to where, you know, like, because and why I say that is because this particular woman, Corey Ward, the one in Jacksonville that posted that video that we showed you to Snapchat. Again, she is facing a felony charge. The felony charge, no, actually, you know what? I'm not even, No. I mistake it. So the other woman with in Walmart, the ice cream woman.
Yeah.
She's facing a felony charge looking at 2 to 20 years in prison. Now, like I said, I'm all for punishment. I'm all for punishing these people because it's disgusting and it could lead to some like serious consequences for other people.
That's if she had something.
If she had something
like spread,
yes, right, or whatever the case. If you infected somebody with something, or somebody got sick because of your actions, yeah, you should definitely get penalized. Whatever, even if you didn't, you should be penalized. But 2 to 20 years in prison is way too much. That is ridiculous. Involuntary manslaughter doesn't come with a sentence like that. Involuntary manslaughter is probably like 12 months or less. There's no way. This is disgusting.
Maybe this could
2 to 20
qualify
years,
as like reckless endangerment or something. I don't know.
Maybe if somebody did die because of what they did,
somebody got sick.
Somebody got sick and died because of what they did. Then again, maybe it's involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, because something actually happened, right?
Something happened.
So it's kind of like the distinction between like attempted robbery, right, or like actual robbery.
Yeah,
because that's like
penalties can't be the same.
Yeah, like if you actually stole over a certain amount. I forgot the dollar amount, but you get charged with grand larceny.
Yeah.
But somebody who gets charged with grand larceny because they actually stole something is not going to is going to receive a more severe punishment than somebody who is just attempting to steal something.
Right. Like, what if you caught me outside the car trying to break in, but I ain't.
Oh, they're going to arrest you.
Oh, yeah, I get arrested.
You're not going to get charged the same way.
No.
If you actually stole the car.
No, of course not, and you shouldn't. So hopefully, look, I don't feel sympathy for these people. I really don't. But hopefully these charges are just like these police departments flexing.
I saw
these prosecutors.
I saw flexing. A video video footage in one store. I don't know if the store did it. I don't know if it was the local police department who initiated this, but they had 2 officers guarding the freezer section where the ice cream was. And if you look on their faces, it looked like they were trying to stiffen up for the photo, but I don't think they were trying to stiffen up to look like tough cops. The look on their face looked like, damn, why the hell we gotta be here guarding some damn ice cream?
It was ridiculous. And you know they weren't actually out there guarding no damn. That was just a damn photo op.
That was a damn photo
You think they were really out there just manning the spot?
Manning the Briars, manning the Bluebell.
Come on, man. That was just a photo op.
Manning the Haagen-Dazs.
Was trying to get
and the Ben and Jerry's.
Like, how many customers do you think that would have turned off?
Exactly. Exactly.
2 cops well, I'm not getting ice cream tonight. I'm not going over there.
I wonder what they
Excuse me, officer. Trying to get some Bluebell.
If that is the case, and they were actually, I guess, ordered to be stationed there by the department, that would be a whack-ass job. First of all, I'd be like, am I getting some extra pay for this?
Hell yeah.
Am I going to get some, let's say, some complimentary ice cream? I'm like...
While I wait
in
front of this,
I got a guard damn ice cream, dog. Nah, man, I better get something out of this, man.
Oh, man.
Ice cream cookies or ice cream sandwich or something.
All right. I think that's all we had, right? Is that all we had?
I mean, we had the little ice news.
Oh, yeah.
Ice raids.
The New York Times reported on Thursday that ICE intends to conduct these raids on undocumented immigrants on Sunday, this coming weekend. That's what Trump said. Of course, this was a couple weeks ago that this was
supposed to be
set into motion, but then he delayed. He said he delayed it because he wanted Congress to come to some agreement and blah blah blah
about kind of adjusting the asylum process.
Yeah, but of course that didn't happen. So now, at least the New York Times is reporting that ICE is going to go ahead and start raiding neighborhoods, looking for undocumented immigrants, and I expect that to be a rounding success. I don't think anybody's rights are going to get violated. Not anybody's. No.
It's like, do you really think it's just going to touch undocumented individuals? You really think it's going to just touch them?
They would. Yes. Yeah. Of course. Nobody's rights are going to get violated. Constitutional protections. Oh no. They know what they're doing. They absolutely know what they're doing. We haven't seen any videos of ICE agents, violating the law or anything like that. Oh no. We haven't seen that. You remember when people were scared of Obama coming for the guns? Breaking down the door? Coming for your guns? That never happened. But this, at least, is reported that this is going to happen on Sunday. I mean, how else are people's doors going to get broken down?
They would have to know where they are. They would have to know where these undocumented individuals are specifically. Are they just going to round up people they see in certain areas? Like, how is it going to go down? Do they have enough agents to do that? I've kind of heard a lot of, people talk about it, and I guess their position is there's not even enough agents to, carry out something like this.
I believe it's supposed to happen in 10 major cities, I believe. If the earlier plans are accurate, I believe like 10 major cities, I think.
Maybe he's mad that the Supreme Court kind of, I guess, rejected this Trump administration's census question.
Right.
That happened, I think it was yesterday or something.
Yeah.
That happened yesterday or whatever.
Well, yeah, a couple days
ago. Yeah. So, yeah, they blocked the Trump administration from adding that question.
The are you a citizen question.
And it's the way they asked the question that the Supreme Court had a problem with. So the Trump administration failed to provide an adequate justification for why the question was on there. So from what I've heard, he wants to go above the Supreme Court's head by issuing an executive order. I'm not sure he's going to do that. I think he was going to do a press conference before the show.
Yeah, I haven't seen what was said in that press conference. But I saw that he was going to. He was giving up that fight, at least for
he was giving up, but then he's going to look at other measures to get the question on there, possibly get it done through the Department of Commerce somehow. I think he was talking about getting lawyers from the Department of Commerce to argue the case again. But from what I heard, the previous lawyers, the reason why they had to go to the Department of Commerce to get lawyers is because the lawyers they previously had arguing the case stepped down, possibly because they didn't want to violate the Constitution and be disbarred or affect their careers. So last minute, I think the administration got more lawyers, and then the Supreme Court was like, nah, yo. Like, you can't just bring in new lawyers. And like, the Trump administration was like, hey, they're going to be up to speed. It's not going to delay anything. And the Supreme Court was like, nah, you lied anyway. You lied about why the question was going to be on there, so nah. So maybe this is just him flexing his muscle with an executive order or a possible executive order. So it doesn't look like he suffered a loss here.
So what's the rationale here behind his efforts? I guess because the census is used for multiple purposes, one being federal dollars, right? Going into a community, states. So if these people are discouraged from reporting themselves, well, not reporting themselves, but actually involving themselves with the U.S. Senate, that would bring down the numbers of people that are living in that community, living in that state. So then I guess there would be a decrease of federal dollars, right?
Maybe.
Okay. If you wanted to save money, that's not the first place I'd start. It really would not be the first place I start because there's some waste. Because that's not wasteful spending. Because as we have noted many times before, if there are undocumented immigrants in these areas, are they contributing to society? Are they contributing to the economy?
Yes,
they are. But they're not getting the return that a citizen would get, right? So
essentially, like, we're making money off of that.
Yes. So that's not the first place I would go if I wanted to save money. I would go to wasteful spending first. That's probably the first place I would go to. And there are so many different departments, as we have talked about before.
Okay, what's number one? I already know what you're going to say. I'm just asking just to...
The Department of War.
Department of War.
The Department of War, incredibly wasteful with their spending. We talked about this many times now. So if we wanted to save money, there's millions.
Maybe they wanted that
billions.
Maybe they wanted that census question. When they want that question on the census, because they wanted to get like a number, right? Some sort of number that they can float after the election. In case he loses, he can say, "You see, this is the amount of undocumented people in the country, and this is why I lost the election." I don't know. I'm just shooting. But it can just be boiled down to just good old nativism. It could be just boiled down to that and making money off of these detention centers, which is happening right now. I think it's like they make like $7.50 a head. The last number I heard, $750, not $7.50, $7.50 a head. So that's why it doesn't make sense that that these undocumented individuals are having to exist in those conditions. They shouldn't. If you're getting $750 per head, how come they can't afford soap? They can afford soap. It's just people making money off of it. And I think there's more than that just happening. There's people making money off of it, and maybe some of the money is going missing somehow. Yeah. But yeah, he wants to keep this going because people are making money off of this detention facilities. And he doesn't want, I don't think he wants people to be deported right away. He wants to make money, or he wants individuals he's connected to make money off of these detention centers. True. That's why, probably another reason why they're rounding them up, because they're going to put them in the detention center first.
Big business, right? Putting foot on people's necks is always big business, man.
Yes, crush Satan. Unfortunately, that is the case.
Black Republicans exist.
Unfortunately, that's the case, but yeah.
Another comment, I do agree. I think this is grandstanding at this point with the census because it is already being printed out.
And he tried to say it's fake news. It's fake news. It's fake news. I'm like, no, it's being printed out. I'm like, by your own department. This.
Ridiculous, man. But all right, that's all we got for you tonight. What we're going to do is open the phone line so that we can hear from you. Talked about a lot of different things tonight, so definitely want to get your input. If you would like to join the conversation, very simple to do so. There is a number that's going across the screen right now. It's 669-900-6833. Please call in. Often, well, I wouldn't say often, but we do get first-time callers here and there. We always love hearing from first-time callers. Also love hearing from our regular callers as well. So anybody, if you have something on your mind that is relevant to talk about, we don't want to talk about Care Bears or I just said Care Bears. That was the first thing that popped in my mind.
Because I said something about Care Bears earlier. Yeah, talking about America needing to grow up and stuff.
Yeah, gummy bears or what other kind of stuff we don't want to talk about.
Mermaids.
Mermaids. Yeah.
Don't want to talk about mermaids.
We can talk about the Little Mermaid.
Talk about Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the new Little Mermaid.
The new Little Mermaid.
Yeah, we can talk about the new Little Mermaid. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Because a lot of people all bent out of shape over the new Little Mermaid. All bent out of shape. Aww.
Even though this mermaid was a certain complexion for 70 years, I'm like, yo.
Even though this Little Mermaid is a fictional character, that
doesn't exist.
A fictitious character that, you know, doesn't have to remain any
I'm like, yo, hey, yo, if y'all want to claim a half fish, that's y'all. That's y'all heritage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's only y'all. Y'all want to claim that so hard, dang.
Starfire did the same thing with Starfire, right? Oh boy.
The interesting thing is, you see a lot of kind of memes pop up with them replacing like traditionally black characters with like white people. Like you saw the one with, I think it was Ryan Gosling, I think, and they had him in the Black Panther thing, which is interesting because actually Black Panther, it was like, I think it was played by a white person at one point early on. It switched between Black Panther and something else called the Blue something. I can't remember, but it was played by a white person at one point in the comics, but that don't even make any sense looking at the origin story of Black Panther.
No.
Considering it's...
it was actually supposed to be a black character.
Oh yeah, Wakanda?
Yeah.
Like, come on now. Like, unless they let that mug in there, which they definitely didn't. Somebody would have to have some explaining to do if they had an all-white baby in Wakanda. Like, come on. At least, like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, in the Avengers movie, who is it? Damn, I can't remember his name now. With the arm.
Yeah, with the arm. I can't think of his name.
I can't remember his name. My son has the toy too. I don't remember his name.
But what's interesting is those are the same people that say we don't see color.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
So if you don't see color, then why would it bother you?
True.
More trade news?
No, well, they're just breaking down Oklahoma City's first round picks now. They got a whole bunch of them.
Oh, I know. I heard. I saw like what was projected. And I was like, oh man.
I think they got 2 from Houston. That's crazy.
Ooh, boy.
All right, so we got our first caller. I'm going to get to the first caller that's coming from the 661 area code. Let me just do this. All right. All right, caller, you're on the air live with LTMB.
Hello, this is Trudy. How you guys doing?
Trudy.
Good to hear from you, Trudy.
You know who I think of when I hear your name? Remember that show?
What?
Remember that old show?
What show?
I think it was what's that old show? It was
You got me.
Oh, my brother watches Monk, and his wife's name was Trudy. That's the only one I know.
That's an older show.
It's an older
show? It's an older show, like from the 80s.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know.
You know any characters?
No, Trudy's the only one.
There was an old country
Give me a
song.
break. Please, give me a break.
Telephone.
Was that Give Me a Break?
Give me a break. I remember Give Me a Break.
I don't even know. I could be wrong. But it was somebody in the chat section holler at me. But yeah. So what you got for us tonight, Trudy?
Well, I just wanted to point out that when Trump took office, there was no border problem at all. There was no immigration crisis. So he cuts aid to Central America. And then the caravan started. And so next year he cut even more. It's a damn manufactured crisis.
Yes. Where was immigration at when Trump took over, Will?
Oh, I believe it was net zero?
Yeah, it was net zero.
I think it was a net zero.
Yeah.
Even before he was it was net zero. Actually, even more. I think more people were leaving than coming. Yes.
So it wasn't a crisis when he became president. There was no issues with like overcrowding in detention facilities.
No.
The conditions weren't good now, but it was no issue with overcrowding.
No. We didn't have families being separated.
There wasn't. Yeah, didn't have families being separated.
No, we didn't.
Babies dying.
Yeah, babies dying. Yeah.
The only time I think families were separated was like for a brief period when they were being processed, and or if these individuals were guilty of some other crime other than just coming over the border.
Correct. Not just simply coming across, right?
Yeah. Plus, Obama was the deporter-in-chief, so.
No doubt.
That was one of those things he tried to. He was like, he had this complex about him where he seemed to always want to prove himself. To Republicans.
Yep.
And that's not surprising considering who he says he fashioned himself based on. He fashioned himself based on Ronald Reagan. Me and Will talk about me and Will talk about that periodically every now and then because he did like a interview for either Time or Newsweek magazine, and it had his face kind of like juxtaposed with Reagan's. It was kind of like it wasn't a mesh, but it was kind of like the opacity made him look like, compare these two, and they did that because Obama said himself he kind of fashioned his agenda and policy after Reagan. So,
but even if you ignore that, Obama could have just been any other modern day Democrat too, because in modern day history, Democrats, for the most part, try to capitulate to Republicans all the time. And people are so tired of that. I know I'm tired of it. So if it wasn't him, it probably would have been somebody else that would have tried to look like they were doing the right thing on immigration and kicking these
people. Well, that comes down to them getting their money the same place as the Republicans.
Yeah, exactly. They do. No doubt.
Yeah, because you can't compromise.
I'm going to hang up and let you guys talk. I want to listen.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for calling in, Trudy.
Appreciate you. And what you eating?
Right, thank you, guys.
What you munching on? Oh, she ain't going to give... What you munching on?
I'm sorry, I have no idea.
Oh, see, she's trying to keep it a secret. I asked you what
you thinks you're eating on something.
Oh, she eating something.
My phone isn't working too great. I'm not hearing.
Oh, she's not hearing.
Goodbye.
That's okay. We'll let go.
All right. I don't know what we were saying. You trying to get the munching details?
No, I was finished with my statement because people started chiming in the chat about Obama and kind of.
Oh well, yeah, we got the Calvin put us on straight. Winter Soldier. That's what we're talking.
And then also it was facts of life. Two people gave me the answer. It was there it is. Jordan and Calvin. Facts of life. That's what it was.
Trudy? There was no Trudy on Facts of Life.
Maybe they wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
There was Kim Fields, who was, damn, I don't even remember her name now. There was Natalie. There was Joe. There was Blanche, I think. Blair. There was Blair. What was Kim Fields' name? Tootie. That's who you talking about. Tootie. That ain't Trudy. Tootie.
So maybe they maybe they was thinking about Tootie too.
Yeah. See, somebody just said Tootie. Yeah. Nah, he was talking about Trudy. I don't know who you talking about, man.
I don't know.
Are you talking about Black and White? No, I'm talking about, is it Black and White? Is it a Black and White show?
No.
Or is it, later than that? It's a color show.
I think it's a color show.
I don't know. He's on Trudy, man. I don't. Anyway, let's go to the next caller. All right, 253 area code. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hey guys, it's Jordan.
Jordan, what's going on with you, man?
Nothing much, man. I don't really have much to talk about. I figured that I would just share with you. I listened to this podcast called Ridiculous History. While I work, people should check it out. It's really cool. But I learned about this person today in one of their shows. Their name is Albert Cashier, and they were a transgendered soldier in the Union Army. And they got figured out later in life because they got an injury that they were transgendered, and then the U.S. government tried to take away their pension, and all the other veterans stood in solidarity and forced the government. They made an uproar, and the government ended up giving it back. But what I took from that, I just wanted to say that apparently the the modern right wing is more opposed to trans rights today than Civil War soldiers.
Why do you think that is, though? Like, why do you think that is? Is it just the availability of information and how information flows is different? Is it kind of things that is it more in your face now? Is it because it's kind of gaining more acceptability? What do you think it is?
Oh, well, I mean, I definitely think that, the access to information we have now, I think like everybody, the whole world is saturated with propaganda now more than ever. And so I think that that's why we're having such politics and like so many people who believe like weird and radical shit. But anyways, I just wanted to share that because I thought it was ridiculous, that like veterans from the Civil War are more okay with trans people being in the military than modern right-wing people.
Yeah, I think I've talked about demagogues many times, and that kind of goes with what you were talking about, just the flow of information, social media, just technological advances. Demagogues are more able to, more successfully able to impact or make an impact on people's thoughts. It wasn't like that before.
I think that's
I think the same mentality probably would have been prevalent back then too, but
they didn't have.
Would they have been scared that it would have caused people to accept them? I don't know. There's probably a lot of factors, man.
Yeah. I mean, you can just like it. Not too long ago, if somebody wanted information, they had to go and read a book, and now you got fucking like people like Steven Crowder and whatever, and they have like millions of people that watch them, and they're like, and they're spreading like watered down far right ideas about minorities and there's like cultural identity, like the West is under attack.
It makes sense though. They're the logical consequence to society progressing, right? They're the logical consequence to society becoming or attempting to become more of an egalitarian construction. Like it makes sense that they would be like some kind of counter agent to a change, I don't know. I'm just not surprised that there are demagogues out there that are doing everything that they can to see that this country and the world is still run by the same individuals. This is why people on the right kind of will never be in control of societies that, have their citizens on some kind of equal playing field. They will never live in societies or construct societies or rule societies that feature that, because they never challenge the status quo. Never. They're always trying to become like the people in power. They're always trying to emulate authoritarian. So they have to be who they are. So
yeah, I think you're definitely right. It makes a lot of sense. Like a reaction to progress. I mean, that's why they're called reactionaries. It's always, it's the politics of now are not much different from 50 years ago.
Yeah, man. Well, anyways, good subject to bring up, man.
You guys have a good weekend.
All right, man. You do the same, man. Good hearing from you, man. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, so let's go to 562 area code. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hi, Mike. It's me, Saab. I haven't been on in a while, but
man, Saab coming back from the dead, man. What's up with you, man?
Resurrection.
I've been dealing with college and stuff, Today's my question about like athletes with Megan Rapinoe. I'm glad that she's being able to speak, and I understand the whole injustice that America is doing to the whole gay movement. But there's got to be some type of protection for her to like and other athletes like Colin Kaepernick to speak their mind, because like what would that do? Would that impede on the First Amendment right, like protecting their right to speak by not letting others criticize them? I'm curious about that.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't think that that's kind of the attitude, or I don't think people are actually pushing for that as far as, criticizing them. I don't think, I do think some of it can be a little bit dangerous. They do push the envelope, but most of them are just like I guess blowing hot air. Like today, I saw, I'm not sure if it was recorded yesterday or today, I saw a video where Ben Shapiro was talking about, he was talking about her, and he said something like, the reason why she gets a big contract is not just because she's good at soccer, it's because she's a lesbian and she's outspoken. I was like, what? I was like, man, so she got like a lesbian clause or something. She get like a lesbian bonus. And
she's one of the best soccer players.
She's one of the best soccer players in the world.
She got the award for the best player in the tournament. It's not like she's just a throw in there.
I just think that we can do a better job at, offering a counter narrative, and that's what our job is to kind of protect these outspoken people from a false narrative. Those false narratives are going to exist. We can't do anything about them. They've always existed, and there's going to be people who are going to accept those false narratives as true, not just because they're being influenced or because they're following somebody. I just think that they're just following what they already believe and what they already have inclinations to believe. And there's really nothing we can do about demagogues. Now, if it has to do with inciting violence, I don't think that. Violence, Now that can be done something. You can do something about that. They do that, I think, in Britain. There's some people, there's some Canadians and some white supremacist Canadians and some white supremacist Americans who've been banned from coming over there for inciting violence. But that's a very kind of specific kind of offense. It's not just saying like lies and misinformation. There's nothing we can do about that. It's always been around. So
like you said, it's you made the comparison like with Kaepernick and Muhammad Ali, and there is nobody like Muhammad Ali right now. But back in the day, it wasn't just Muhammad Ali.
He gave up 2 years.
Yeah, but you remember in the 68 Olympics, there was Tommy Smith, John Carlos, and even the Australian Peter Norman. He didn't raise the fist with them, but he was right there with them. He had the button on him as well, and that tanked his career. This dude, he was one of the fastest sprinters in Australia, and he would always dust all the other Australian sprinters. But from that point forward, he would never make the team. They were penalizing him like that. It wasn't until, I think it was like 2012, after he had died, where they actually apologized for how they had treated him.
And, which is interesting, because it's like, if you hear people on the right talk, they act like they're the ones who are, losing their ability to speak freely, and their livelihoods are being affected. Well, it's actually the other way around. It's just that it gets like suppressed more. They're just louder about it. Colin Kaepernick is not the first. Craig Hodges is one. He was actually from the championship team, the Bulls, and all he did was hand somebody a letter to give to the president. He didn't really speak out.
Nope. And this was before social media.
This was before social media. He just handed a letter to the president. Hey, these or it wasn't actually to the president. It was like an aide or something. Yep. And he handed him a letter, said, hey, can you get the president to look at some of this stuff? The NBA pretty much blackballed him. They did. Another person was Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. People don't hear about that. Yep. See, anytime it's about anytime it's about challenging power, challenging the status quo, challenging state power, the United States apparatus, the United States imperialistic apparatus, then it goes away quietly and nobody says anything. But conservatives and right wing can just they claim victimhood just because someone has something to say about what they say, or they claim victimhood because some media platform wants to enforce their terms of service, and they get a mic. They get invited to a hearing, like what's her face, Cactus Oatmeal. They get invited to a damn hearing.
That's why you have to respect these figures, athletes, whatever, that use their power, or use their voice, their clout, whatever, to actually speak about issues that are not really, I guess, relegated to sports. They're really about society in general, the world in general. And like I said, that Colin Kaepernick is one of those. And I would have to say too, athletes with something to lose, because Colin Kaepernick was not past his prime. He still had a lot of football left. Like I said, the '68 Olympians as well. Tommy Smith, John Carlos, Muhammad Ali, Bill Russell. These people had things to lose. It was just on the ESPYs. Bill Russell was celebrated for speaking out. I forgot what award that he was celebrated with.
Championship ring.
Yeah, but he was celebrated because he had this. Of course, he was at the top of his game as well. And after Medgar Evers was killed, he went down to the South, and he had some things to say. He was invited by Medgar Evers' brother, I believe, to come down there. And he put his neck out there. And it was very possible that he would get killed, but that he didn't let that deter him. He had something to say. So I have the utmost respect for, especially, the athletes that do say something, and especially the athletes that say something while they have something to lose. Now, I understand how somebody like Michael Jordan, when he was at the top of his game, when he was the best athlete in the world,
not say anything.
He didn't say anything. He didn't get involved in politics. He said, hey, Republicans buy shoes too. It's not for everybody. So I think he deserves to be criticized a little bit, and he kind of doesn't deserve to be criticized, because I think it is not for everybody.
Forgetting even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar too.
That's true.
He has books out
that
I need to read. So he speaks out about certain things too. So it's like just look at who speaks out about state power, who speaks out about atrocities going on in the country. Who are the ones speaking out about that, and who are the ones always chiding those individuals for doing so? That's how you point out who are the authoritarians in society and who would support authoritarians. And it's people who have something to say about a damn soccer player. So I'm glad you brought her up, because she wasn't. I'm glad you brought her up, because she wasn't in my mind at the time.
Yeah. I got one recommendation for the dummy of the week. I say like the whole Tucker Carlson interview about like saying America's so great and so that.
Oh gosh. Oh why, Sab? Oh why? That was out of my head too, bro. Man, I saw some of that and I was just like, yeah, that was now when you're talking about, free speech and trying to shut people down, I think Tucker Carlson is one of them for some of the things he said, because they kind of crossed the line and do incite violence against Muslims, and specifically Ilhan Omar. That's something that they need to get under wraps, because something bad can happen to her because of their commentary.
She's getting death threats as we speak. That's what I do not like about Fox News. They don't acknowledge that. There's just not enough acknowledgement about what's going on with the other side. It's always just one point of view and that's it. Someday that's gonna like really get us into a really big heap of trouble.
Yeah. Demagogues.
Just like this also reminds me of the Ben Shapiro interview with that BBC guy. Like he interviewed him and Ben Shapiro called him like someone who was on the left, even though he's a conservative magazine writer, and he's just laughing at Ben Shapiro pretty much at the whole interview. It's like really funny and stuff like that.
We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, snowflakes be snowflakes. That's really
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
well,
Sav,
that's pretty
man,
much
we
it.
appreciate you calling in again, man. Great to hear your voice. Hopefully you will get the chance to call us in again soon, man.
Yeah, thanks. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, man. Peace.
Bye.
All right, so we got another caller, 617 area code. You're on the air live.
Hey guys, it's Ben.
Ben, man, what's going on?
What up, man?
Not too much, guys. Sorry I stayed on the phone a little too long last call. I know I actually had like 4 or 5 more things to talk about too, so it's good you guys cut me off when you did.
No, that's no problem. Go ahead, man. What's up with you now?
Yeah. Well, I had a couple of things. One thing I just want to say about the Will, I believe you said it, and I never disagree with you really, but this was the one thing maybe I just kind of maybe feel a little differently than you about, and I feel differently than probably some people. You mentioned about the ice cream liquor should be, punished, but then you did go on to say, well, definitely not 2 to 20 years. But one of the things we hear so much about people getting punished and about this person gets off, but like other people don't get off. I completely agree with that idea that some people get off and other people don't get off. But I think my feeling is that we need less punishment in our society than we're doling out right now. So not to say that everybody needs to be punished equally. I think everybody needs to be punished less in general. But you're not like up for doling out punishments though, right? Well,
for doling out punishment? Hey, what kind of punishment, man?
I guess maybe where Ben's coming from is that it's not so much just the doling out of punishment. It's kind of like maybe the apparatus that punishment gets doled out, like on behalf of. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the conversation about America getting involved in, I guess, foreign like situations. Even if it's like a noble cause, people don't trust it because it's the United States. We always want something in return. It always comes with strings attached. So even if it's a noble cause, the system we live in the military-industrial complex, kind of presiding over the Department of War, it just nobody trusts it. So it's almost like is that a part of why you're apprehensive about punishment, simply because of the prison-industrial complex and the system we live in not being responsible in issuing
and all
correct punishment? Go ahead.
The marijuana laws, just like absolutely ridiculous on the marijuana laws. Just using crime as a way to hold people down, black, white, or yellow.
What would you? I guess what would you be supportive of in a situation like this? What would you be supportive of?
I would say definitely like community service, but I don't really consider that like a punishment. That's why I said like at first I was like, oh no, Will's not going to say throw the book at her, give her like the full 22.
Nah.
No, but then I just wanted to kind of like bring that up because I always, tell you guys what a great job you do, and you do. But I just want people to know I am listening, so I think you guys say so. But the other thing I wanted to talk about just quickly was it's not too soon to start looking at the Dem debate number 2. That's coming up on Tuesday, July 30th, and Wednesday, July 31st. Obviously, I think people are still qualifying for that. Some people. And last time we talked about the debates, and I kind of said I thought that Biden was going to take a swipe at Sanders, and Sanders was going to kind of give him a nice counterpunch. But obviously that ended up being more like Kamala gave him all the counterpunching he needed. And I got to thinking about my favorite candidate, which is Sanders. Right now, he doesn't have a lot to gain. And I think if he kind of sits back and lets the field thin itself out, I think when it does get thin, he's still going to be there, and that's when he can really have, instead of 30 seconds to present his case, he might get a longer time. So I was kind of wondering what you guys are thinking about the second debate coming up with, Is gravel going to make it? Do you think, what do you expect out of it? I know it's kind of a switch it up, but maybe I'll let you guys go and kind of enjoy the rest of the show, but I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Okay, man.
All right, man.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks for
your call,
calling,
man. Always good hearing from you.
All right, guys. Talk to you in a bit. All right.
We kind of talked about this last show, kind of. I don't really have anything against that perspective that because Bernie could kind of sit back, because we talked about how much support he does have, because we went over fundraising numbers, and not only did we go over fundraising numbers, we went over like individual contributors. So we talked about the amount of support Bernie has, and it looks like it's not going anywhere. So I think that kind of falls in line with what Ben is saying, is that he doesn't really have to do as much, and he probably should focus on doing much more once the field kind of pans out.
I don't know. I don't know, man. It's possible. It could be just like that, but there's a lot of people that believe that Elizabeth Warren is just as progressive as Bernie Sanders. Now, they haven't been on the same stage yet, but if and when they do, if Bernie Sanders does not come off strong, and when I say strong, he does not come off as, if he doesn't come away with a better performance than Elizabeth Warren, that could hurt him. I'm not sure. Even Kamala Harris. Because Kamala Harris is increasing in the standings right now, and no matter what we think about who Kamala Harris is and, how phony she appears to be and disingenuous, she does come across as progressive, especially in these debates. And when she's on that stage, when she was on that stage at the town hall, when she was on the stage, in the debates, and she was challenging Biden, she looked like an aggressive progressive. Ugh, I didn't mean to say that really like that, but but anyway, that's the way she looked. So we know that there's a lot of people that know a lot about the political process. They know a lot about Bernie Sanders and the rest of these candidates as well. They know their past, but a lot of people don't.
I do think that's why it's important for Bernie Sanders to go on. This kind of sounds weird, and it shouldn't sound weird, but it was important for him to go on MSNBC and do that interview with Rachel Maddow. So, I kind of see what Ben is saying. I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to slow down, because I think he does have some work to do based on what you just said, because people think that, Elizabeth Warren is the most progressive in the field, and a lot of people think that Kamala Harris is progressive. They're not losing anything if they don't vote for Bernie Sanders and vote for them, which any person looking at this objectively can see that that's not the case.
Right.
So I don't think he should just sit back. So I'm kind of in the middle. I don't think he should sit back, but I do think he should be more strategic and not have to go on the attack. I think that's kind of where Ben argument is framed around. Him not going on the attack. You know what I'm saying? Not just kind of stopping and not being engaged. Just kind of like not having to go on the attack too much. But like you say, the other side of that is him not separating himself from people. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the I guess the consequence of that. If he doesn't really kind of I guess even just, I wouldn't even call it attack, but just present his case alongside other candidates, then how are people going to make distinctions?
He has to have good performances. I think he has to do significantly better than what he did in that first debate. It wasn't a bad performance, but because it was just a so-so performance, I'd lead towards negative, because the conversation was about Kamala Harris. Conversation was not about Bernie Sanders whatsoever. Now, I guess, I don't know, it's not the worst thing in the world that they're not trying to paint him as like, oh, he's over, he's done, trying to single him out and trying to really tank his campaign. I guess that's good, because we know how corporate media is. But not being in the conversation really at all isn't good either. It's a double-edged sword. I really don't know. I just know, like I said, I think he needs to do better.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where he's going to get, if you see him getting hurt because he goes in the attack, I think he gets hurt either way. You know what I'm saying? He gets hurt either way. If he stays out of it, he may suffer. If he gets in it, he may suffer. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with his numbers, man.
Yeah, I don't know,
like,
man.
Based on this little interview he did, man. Really surprised. I'm really surprised. Maddow didn't come after him like I thought she was going to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it, would be bad optics. It's different if, she's a moderator at a debate.
Yeah.
And, like, he's not the only one on stage. So, you know what I'm saying? Even if the question is unfair, it's still going to be, it's that any exchange, it may be highlighted, but it's going to dissipate around the rest of the debate. Mm-hmm. Here, the interview was very person to person. That engagement was very intimate. So I just don't think, I didn't see her trying some slick shit. So.
Well, and to be, I guess, fair to her at the debate, it wasn't her that was asking those unfair questions. It was Chuck Todd.
She did ask one, though.
Did she?
Yeah, there was one where it said you were quoted as saying something.
That wasn't really unfair. I mean, she quoted what he said. It was about the guns.
The guns.
It was about the guns. It was his quote, man.
Yeah.
It was
but you
his
can still
quote.
you can still quote somebody and, like, be kind of bad faith in quoting them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because she was, because even in her question, she was saying, like, hey, do you still feel like this? And I don't know. It got a laugh because of her response, but because he said that's a mischaracterization of my words or my thoughts. And she was like, no, this was a quote of you, So I think he could have took it, not said that and kind of addressed it in a different way, and I don't think it would have came off
right
like that. I didn't have a problem with the question, man. Like we've said before on guns, he has struggled sometimes on that subject. He has struggled, so it's not a great area for him. It really is probably the one area where he's not great at, really. That's probably maybe the one issue where he kind of he doesn't show up well. People say it's foreign policy, like especially 2016. They said he didn't really have foreign policy chops. I thought he was right on the mark on foreign policy, but it was because most people's idea or most media folks' ideas of foreign policy is strength, war hawk, stuff like that. What are you gonna do?
Like, how you
strike them?
How are you going to
strength?
Yeah. How are you going to engage?
Yeah.
More or less, how are you going to engage militarily?
And he wants to disengage, so he's like, oh well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. No, he knows what he's talking about. They said the same thing about Jill Stein, and Jill Stein, you remember that town hall that she had too, and she was talking about closing most of the bases all across the country, the American bases. She was right on. I mean, that was one of the best responses that I've seen when talking about foreign policy.
If we're talking about foreign policy and our use of the military, it seems very paranoid and schizophrenic, considering we have the biggest military, like, on the planet. Like, bigger than the next, like, 10 countries on the list. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? As far as how much money we spend and how much power we have. We're bigger than the next 10 countries on the list.
Yep.
We have, damn near 1,000 military bases across the globe. But yet we have our finger, like, just trembling on the trigger at every turn. Like, we're the most powerful, right? But yet everybody is a threat to us. Mm-hmm. It just seems very paranoid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, that's just an unstable position to have and to keep.
Why would you need to invest that much money, that much manpower on your military?
But everybody else is a threat. Like,
so look, there's a chat going on. I guess there's a conversation going on in the chat. I don't really understand what's going on.
Yeah, I don't either, man. We can't always follow everything.
Yeah, I've heard some. I saw some claims, this and that. You said this. No, I didn't say that. Maybe this happened on Discord sometime previously, last few days or so. I don't know. But yeah, I can't follow all of it to understand what exactly is happening. I don't understand. I don't know. So I don't know. I can't really talk to that. But anyway, what else? Oh yeah, okay. Well, yeah, about the debate too. Hey, there's a slot opening. Who's gonna slide into that slot?
Who is gonna slide? And that's right, because they still get 10.
They still get 10.
They still get 10.
Who's gonna slide into that slot?
Who's it?
Or, you know what? Or maybe nobody slides in because you do have to meet the
You still have to meet the qualification.
Yeah. So if maybe nobody does. It's not like they're just like 20. I don't think it's like that. I think you do have to qualify.
You still have to qualify.
So maybe nobody slides in.
So Ben out front says Mike Gravel now has 60,000 out of 65,000. I think Marion Williamson, like, didn't she like send some some money his way or something, or some people his way to help him get into the debates? I can't remember. Yeah. I thought I saw something on that.
That would be that would be interesting, man. Because you only have to hit one of them, one of those qualifications. The polling numbers or the contributions. I wonder if any of the other ones have hit it. Talking what Steve, what's his name? Governor of Montana? Isn't it
Bullock?
Steve Bullock? Yeah, Steve Bullock.
She said, it says Marion Williamson gives a loving lift to fellow peacemonger Mike Gravel. It says Marion Williamson asked supporters to help rival Democratic 2020 candidate. Why did it say it's rival, though?
Because I guess they're battling for the same position, so technically they're rivals. Gravel isn't my cup of tea, but sure as hell beats Steyer in my books. I would say that. I I'm interested about Steyer. Not that, like, oh yeah, I'm really supporting this guy. No, I'm not. I'm just interested because I can't say that I know an awful lot about the guy. It's not like I have followed him. He's been an activist, but mostly about Trump, being anti-Trump. He has been involved in the climate change fight for, several years now. But still, I can't say that I know a lot about him. So what I would really want to know is how real this is. Whatever you're selling, like, how real is that? Because you made your money. You made your money in the wrong places. So just like with Tulsi, she had a change.
She had a change. Yeah, a lot of people don't talk about that because she was accepting money from, was it like Boeing and was it Raytheon? I can't remember. It was some military contractors, upwards of over like $100,000, maybe $130,000. She was accepting money from, and she is touted as being anti-war.
Right.
So that kind of looks bad on her part. And somebody brought it out. That's when she made that pledge to not accept any more money. So I think it's been about a year since that happened. So
I'm just saying, when people make changes, I'm not saying that they are not authentic. It's just, I don't know.
Ben has a question.
If you could get rid of one Dem member of Senate or House, who would it be? Nancy Pelosi for me. I know they are all better than Republicans, but cleaning our own house. I definitely would not start with Nancy Pelosi. I wouldn't. I think there's. I don't. Manchin's still there, right?
Manchin is still there.
Yeah, Manchin is still there. There's no way I start with Nancy Pelosi when Manchin is still there.
I think she's the one that stands out
because she's the speaker.
She's the speaker, so yeah. So it kind of.
I understand.
It kind of like the scales weigh a little bit different.
Yeah, I do understand. But yeah, Manchin, you know. You know how I feel about Manchin. He might be the top of the list. We're talking about the Senate too, where they don't even have the majority. Oh yeah, well, of course that's a Democratic slot, but I would rather have an actual Democrat in that slot.
I mean, you got Feinstein, don't you?
Yeah, Feinstein.
You got Gillibrand.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get it. I'm just saying, like, there's other people. There's a lot of other people.
There's a lot of other people. Yeah. Yeah, I think Manchin would be the one for me. Yeah. He said, Will, you're right, but sometimes you have to cut off the snake's head. But who would take her place? Would it be somebody worse? Because like we were talking about earlier this year, when they, coming off of their win in November, there was a talk about, okay, who was going to get the speaker role? And most assumed that it would be Nancy Pelosi. Of course, progressives did not want that whatsoever. And we hoped that there would be someone else to emerge that could get the votes, but there was no one. There was no one more progressive. Oh my gosh. There was no one to the left of Nancy Pelosi that was even campaigning for the job. So, like, if she's not there, if she's not the speaker. She said, and I believe if they, keep the House in 2020, I think that's when she said she would step down, right? The next Congress. I think she said that's when she would step down.
Yeah. She did give herself a time limit. We talked about that briefly, but we didn't make it like a big conversation.
So if that's true, again, who's going to be the next speaker? Is it going to be somebody worse? Because that's very possible. That's entirely possible. That would be somebody worse than Nancy Pelosi, if that's possible. Yeah, it is possible.
So. A couple more questions. I've got a request from Gene. Gene says, would like for Mike and Will to one night talk about mimicking another culture's language and customs for unconscious reasons. Appropriation, ? Is that what it is called? I think it's deeper than just appropriation. It's like some body snatcher type shit. It's bigger than just appropriation. But I mean, yeah, we can have a conversation about that. That's some different shit.
But what is she? I mean, is she talking like in a negative, or like doing that for positive reasons?
When you use the word appropriation, it just depends on like how it's appropriated and what type of system we live in. I don't think it's just about mimicking another culture, but it's more or less like incorporating another culture's traditions or language, or I don't know, like into yours without offering some sort of like acknowledgement that that's where you got it from.
Well, it depends on the level, though.
And benefiting from somebody else's culture while at the same time
demonizing that's the key word. That's the key word, though.
Benefiting from it while demonizing it at the same time.
Whenever I have like a bad feeling about appropriation, it's because it's at the level where it's to the masses. It's being spread to the masses. Like there's been magazines where I remember this one magazine, I can't remember which one, but they were saying, oh yeah, like hot new like summer hairstyles. And you had white women in afros. And I'm like, hold on. Hot new summer hairstyles, white women in afros. The afro was demonized for so many years. Nappy, not business-like. Whenever black people wore them. No, you couldn't wear an afro and have it look good. No, that was nappy, right? But now white women can do it, and you're promoting that like a new something? No, that's appropriation. That's cultural appropriation. And I'm very critical of something like that.
It should be called like reappropriation.
Yeah, it should be, yeah. But if I saw a white, like we're talking about white women at this point. So if I saw a white woman in the store, walking down the street, wherever, with an afro, do I have a problem with that? Absolutely not.
No.
I don't care what her reason is for it or not. If she appreciates black culture or she just likes the hairstyle, whatever the reason, do you, boo. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to have dreads,
Remember Joy Behar? Remember Joy Behar?
Yeah.
Remember we said that picture?
True.
Shut up, bro.
No, I don't care. No, on that kind of like singular level, if you want to appropriate the culture, whatever you think it looks nice, you want to wear a kimono, you want to do whatever you want to do. That's cool.
Yeah, there's so many different aspects of it too. It's like a group's ability to control their image as well. That plays into it. So to be able to control your image and be able to benefit from your image. And for the most part, black people haven't been able to do that because anything cultural you can be like, I guess, monetized. Anything cultural, capitalism allows the monetization of anything. And I mean, black people's bodies have been monetized, so why not their culture? And you see it, especially like in hip hop. One time, I started seeing it when people I was surrounded by, and I grew up around mainly white people, and this happened as I was growing up. And it happened like even at my job, I would notice that like a lot of these white people were in their 20s, early 30s. I noticed that like they would not value certain expressions if they came from black people, but they would value it if they came from other people. Like, I got this conversation about music, right? I'm this girl, and she was talking about, I like, she pointed out some Japanese or like K-pop or Japanese dudes, bands, or like basically Asian bands. And I was looking at pictures, and I was like, they were wearing what rappers wore 10 years ago, 20 years ago. She was talking about, I like their culture. And when I was talking about, I thought you were talking about like kimonos or some shit. But I was like, saw what she was talking about. I was like, that's urban, that's hip hop culture. I was like, so why don't you like when it comes from black people, but you like it when it comes from other people who are not black? So it has to do, appropriation to me usually involves like devaluing something that comes from black people because you don't see those people as valuable.
True.
So you downgrade whatever comes from them, even though you know it's valuable, and so you sneak take it, and you sneak steal it for yourself or for others or other groups you see as valuable. So then you use it because you can monetize it, and you know it has value, so you take it for yourself because you see yourself as more valuable.
And that's what I'm saying. Like with that magazine article, they could have easily said hot summer looks with the afro, but actually included a black woman that was wearing the afro because it's customarily worn by black people. But again, it was always something demeaning. It was always looked at as like, you can't wear that and get a job. That's not professional. It's nappy. It's messy. You can't do it. So to see a white woman do it and it be celebrated, of course that's gonna rub people the wrong way.
Okay, so Gina is kind of breaking down the question a little bit more, or maybe just expanding the conversation. She says, how about when the damn chat went up. She said, how about when someone mimics one's language to be funny or to try to manipulate you? Or are you talking about like maybe when someone assumes you speak a certain way, or someone assumes you, I guess, have how you engage in a certain way, and they come up to you and be like, hey, home slice, hey, brother.
Yeah, that's whack.
That's whack.
Yeah, that's
Or
I wouldn't be offended, but it's whack.
Because it's like what they're doing is they're taking an aspect or like a compartment of black expression into consideration. Like there's no group like if you're just taking black people and like across the spectrum, across the diaspora, there's going to be different compartments and there's going to be different ways people express one another. If you got some Geechee people who live, those are my people who are in Charleston, South Carolina, they're going to express themselves different than like say people from where you at, Brooklyn. Nothing alike. So it's like within those different compartments of black expression, there's always one particular, I guess, I don't know what you would call it. I don't want to call it like flamboyant, but there seems to be always one that there's always a go-to, as if that's the only form of black expression. That tends to be very condescending.
Like it's offensive. It just for me, like it's more sad to me if I hear somebody do it. If they're trying to come at me like that, it's gonna be I'm not gonna take you seriously. I'm definitely not gonna respect you. It's not something that I would get up in my feelings about. It would just be. It would just be a sad look for you, But I mean, like Mike is talking about, people do that to I don't know if they are. I'm sure there's a lot of times where people do that to be offensive, but there are other times that ignorant people do that and they feel like that's the best way to connect to a different type of person.
So it's both cases. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it's both cases.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it depends. It depends. I think it actually happens the other way around too, but I don't think it's based in the same mindset. It's kind of like the difference when somebody says, "Hey, you speak white or you speak black." Those two things aren't coming from the same place. Usually when someone says you talk like you're white, it's usually talking about voice inflection, which actually it makes sense because voice inflection differs even within a group. Like voice inflection amongst black people is different, like in Texas and then in Chi-Town, or you go to LA or you go to Brooklyn, New York, obviously, the voice inflection is going to change. So usually that's the place it's coming from. When someone says you talk black, it's more about ignorance. So it's not even coming from the same place.
L Train saying, it depends. Blackface is highly offensive to me, but I thought Robert Downey Jr.'s blackface in Tropic Thunder was hilarious. I can feel what you're saying because I feel the same way. Blackface is highly offensive. But with Robert Downey Jr., it's all in context. I guess you have to include the context because was Robert Downey Jr. and was the movie Tropic Thunder, were they trying to make fun of black people?
They were actually making fun of blackface.
Yes.
It was like he was making fun of it because he was like, because the whole thing, but basically it said in the movie, I'm the dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. That was my favorite part. So he was like, he was an actor in the movie.
Yes,
so he's an actor playing an actor, playing a black guy.
Right.
Which he would point like, and there was an actual black character, a black guy, like who was an actor, like in the movie, and obviously his occupation is actor, and he was like pointing out, like, dude, what are you talking about? Like he was just like going through all the stereotypes, thinking like this is acting black, man. You like, moving no one up, to get like he was like just reciting just like these basically like what you would think about black people if you just watch TV. Right. And so there was another black character like, dude, what are you talking about? So it was more done in a comedic fashion that shows like, dog, that blackface is whack because you're not even portraying black people. You're portraying black people as a stereotype.
See, that's not the same as, you see, and comedy is the only area where you could get away with something like that, but we see regular white people try to be funny with it, and it doesn't hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're just a regular person, you're not a Hollywood actor or actress or anything like that, in that setting, in that movie or whatever, and you show up to a Halloween party and you're in blackface, is that going to hit? Is everybody going to get the punchline? Like, oh, you're trying to be a black... Oh, okay. No, it's not going to hit, man. It's a totally different situation. People are going to be offended by that. Nobody's going to give you the time of day to explain yourself. No, it's just going to be a horrible decision, and you're going to be criticized for it.
I got a good question from Trudy. Says, what about when Bernie says brothers and sisters? Again, I think just like L Train said earlier in the chat, it's all about context and it's all about motive too. Because if it's about kind of bringing people together and about showing that we have some kind of common bond and common interest, then something like brothers and sisters is okay. And I don't think brothers and sisters. I
don't think like black people have a claim.
Yeah, I think that's like it's within context. Like maybe, I guess you can say that it was used increasingly during a certain time period.
No doubt, yeah.
But I don't think you can say that's exclusively like some expression that only black people use.
I would not consider that like black terminology. No, I see I can't think of his name, man. I can't think of his name.
What?
Crazy hair. Reps Bernie all the time. Brother Bernie. Brother.
Cornel West.
I was going to say Colin Powell for something. Like, I know it was anyway. Cornel West. He always says brother this, brother that. like I said, yeah, it is more. I guess it's in the vocabulary of black people more so. White people say it. I don't turn up an eye or anything like that. It's just a word. You know, it's brothers, sisters. You know, because really, when you think about it, we are all the same. We're all humans, right? Brothers, sisters. Whatever. I mean, I don't feel any way about that.
And of course, it's like you gotta look at it, especially that term. Usually, like, especially brother, that's used in so many contexts. Mm-hmm. Like some people in like who are part of a group, they use that term. Like Hulk Hogan uses the term, or
brother.
Like brother, or like people like in the military sometimes use that term, like brother in arms.
Brothers in arms, exactly.
So yeah, so it has so many different usages. So.
And now the shortened version, of course, everybody says, "Yo, bro."
Yo, bro.
Bruh. You know? So
now bruh.
Yeah.
Now bruh is more, that's more of like, I guess you would call it an inflection that most black people use, bruh.
No, there's a ton of white people that say that.
I know now. And that's okay. They just can't say nigger with a hard R.
Exactly.
They can't say nigger.
Not with that hard R.
I think that whole conversation is disingenuous, and I think a lot of white people who kind of bring that up, the whole conversation is just disingenuous. That's why I don't like to have it, because people are not actually saying what they mean. If they don't say what they mean, then I can't have an honest conversation. So it's not that white people's grievance is not that they can't say the word, because that's not the case.
No, because it to be accepted.
No, because see, you know that's not the case. But it's like, wait a second, they can't mean that because that's not absolutely true. So the statement that they can't say it is actually an incomplete statement. And I can prove that very simply. Because there's no one who's going to know you said it if you're just sitting on your damn couch. Yeah. You're just screaming at the top of your lungs. Or if you're just in the shower, just, you know what I'm saying? Or you just...
That's what I said. They want to be accepted.
Chopping up some onions or some carrots.
They don't want no shit for saying it.
No, what they really mean is, I want to be able to say it in front of. It's just incomplete because it actually makes no sense once you cut it off. Because the truth is, they actually can. Nobody's gonna hear it if you just saying it.
They probably do all the time.
Yeah, nobody's gonna hear you if you're just saying it in your car by yourself. So actually, the statement is untrue and it's fallacious. So you know it's just an incomplete statement. It's I want to be able to say it in front of, and I don't think that's a very deep concession to make. It's kind of like if a woman requests don't say the word bitch in front of me. I'd be like, oh darn, you're oppressing me. I can't say that. I can't say that word bitch.
I know. You're taking something away
from me. And I know, see, that's the thing. It's like women tend to, use that word amongst themselves.
They do.
In a certain way. I personally don't feel the inclination to even insert myself in that type of banter with a female in that same way. I just don't feel some type of way like how come I can't get in there and say that, which I just don't understand like what I'm losing in the long run, because I can't refer to a woman as like a bitch, or I see girls talking like grimy to each other all the time. I just don't have that camaraderie with them to feel like slighted if I can't be, because girls be like, shut up you slut. Yeah. You hear all the time.
Nah, you ain't gonna say that to a girl now.
You get out, and they be just playing with each other. Get out of here, hoe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just not doing that. Skank. They do it all the time. But I'm not like getting mad like because I can't insert myself into the conversation.
Actually, and actually saying the word bitch to someone in life, I've said it more to a dude than to a woman.
Dog, I think most dudes, well, I would say most dudes, but a lot of dudes could say that. A lot of dudes could say that. Yeah. That word, using that word is usually,
But see, with me, directed. Like, I know, like, most, like, if somebody's like, man, fuck you, right? If somebody says that to me, my response is gonna be "fuck you, bitch." that's gonna be the automatic. It's gonna come no matter who it is. I will say
I don't think
it's gonna be the automatic.
If you're talking about like calling somebody out their name face to face, and I'm specifically talking about women, because like you mentioned you call more dudes bitch.
Yes.
I'm specifically talking about women. Honestly, I don't think I've never called a woman a bitch to her face, or like a skank or a slut or hoe. I have used the term cunt one time. I I used the term cunt one time, but I was on what I call a mental bender. Like, it was so bad, I didn't even remember I said it. It was like, I was like possessed. But I was like, I was so justified, it wasn't even funny, dog.
See, I'm obviously, I don't think I've ever said cunt. I've said bitch, too.
Okay, yeah, I like, one time I like, I used the word cunt. And I was like, your boy was...
You have to be furious. Because that doesn't flow out of my mouth. Like, that, that has never, it's not in the vocabulary, really.
I was in like that doggone Florida Evans damn kind of boy.
I remember one of our partners, Neely. I remember way back in the day when we were teenagers, and man, you know how, especially Frankie's. You remember how packed Frankie's used to be, right? To get into, right, the parking and everything like that, right? So I remember there was this one guy, we were trying to get into the parking, but we had to take that left. We had the signal on everything. He was driving, he had the signal on everything, right? Dude was coming out, he just took the parking spot, right? And Neely was trying to get in there, he couldn't get in there, right? So he rolled down the window, punk ass bitch! I will always remember, because that's like one of the most I've ever seen him.
You said it just like he would say it too. That was a good... You gotta clip that and send it to him, man. That was a good Chris Neely impression right there.
That junk was hilarious, man.
I do tend to, I don't gotta get road rage, but I'm not afraid to like confront somebody.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like probably was last week, I was downtown, right? And if you're downtown, depending on like what time you're downtown, especially at night when people are going out, there's people walking across the street, so you have to be aware of that. And sometimes people behind you are not paying attention to the intersection. You are. Mm-hmm. So as the car that's like needing to turn right, as the pedestrians crossing in front of you have the right of way, you're paying attention to the intersection. The car behind you is not. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there waiting for pedestrians to cross the intersection. They actually have the crosswalk. They have it, so they have the right of way. Right. I'm waiting for them to cross. Damn car behind me. Like, it's weird because I react like they're behind me as a person. Right. So of course I'm swinging my head around, like, who they be? You swing your head around like they're there, not the car, like they're behind you, like you're engaged like with the person. So I just swing my head around. I make it known. I didn't just like turn like, I didn't look in my mirror. I let it know that I was looking. It was so aggressive. I was making it known that I'm turning around and looking at you, and I was just like, what, like that. And so, all right, so I make the right turn.
Yeah.
So they make the right turn after me, right? So I was like, oh, yo, can't wait till we get to this light. I hope this light's red, son. I ain't gonna like yell at them or anything. But so we get to the light, and it's red. Changes red. I see the car coming. I'm like, ooh. So again, I don't rage out. I don't do none of that. So like, I kind of like sit back like this, and I just hit the roll the window down. I hit the button, and the window just starts rolling down as they're pulling up. So like, as I'm hitting the button and the window's going down, I just go like this. It just looked like they're just like, they're just going like this. They're like, I'm like, okay, that's all I need. That's all I need to do.
That's it.
That's all I need to do. I don't need to rage out on you. I just need to make you look uncomfortable.
There was one instance where I had like I had a moment, man. So I was coming home from work, had Chinese food in the car, had that styrofoam foam.
That's already funny for no reason.
Had the Chinese food right in the front seat, bam, right there. I'm coming home, about to eat my Chinese food, my cat. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm driving interstate, blah blah blah. All of a sudden, this woman like cuts me. Not only does she cut me off, but she slams on brakes. I have to slam on brakes now. My food goes flying to the floor. Everything spills out.
Oh no! Not the shrimp fried rice.
The shrimp fried rice.
The shrimp fried rice
on the dirty floor.
That's not something. It's not like something you can just like. Oh, let me pick these up.
It was all over the floor. Not only am I out food, but now I got to
Clean up.
So I'm mad. So she's a little ways from me now. No, I'm catching up. So I'm catching up, right? So I'm speeding up. My window's down. I'm speeding up. I get to where I'm right near. I'm like, well, that's probably the only time I like actually scared somebody in the car, right? I ain't saying nothing. I'm just like, do you know what you did? You know, but I ain't say nothing. I ain't do nothing. That was it. I just backed up. I wasn't gonna do nothing. But man, that was, man. She took my food, man. My food's on the floor. I had to drive all the way home. Food on the floor. You know how steaming I was?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
I feel you.
It feels like that was yesterday.
Yeah. See, I bet you something like that does stay etched in your mind, dog.
Yeah.
Cause that's traumatizing.
It
when
is.
you lose a container full of shrimp fried rice.
Man, I had the duck sauce.
Oh
man.
I do remember one time I did address somebody directly, but they weren't in a car. They were crossing the road as I was trying to turn left, but they didn't have the light, and they was kind of like lollygagging, and they were like halfway in the road, not halfway in, know what they were doing. So I just went ahead, and they said something to me. It was like about a group of like 8 dudes, and they was with some chicks. Well, maybe it was like 4 and 4, whatever, 5 and 3, whatever, and. He was like, hey man, or some shit. They said something like, hey man, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, guy? You know, like they just kind of being all like demonstrative and shit. So I saw that in my rearview mirror. Put on the brakes. Put on the brakes instantly. I put the car in reverse, right? Because I didn't see no cars coming. So I was like, and I was like, so I backed up and I just stopped about 20 feet away from them. I let the window down again. You know, dramatic, slow, you know, the window goes down. And I was like, y'all got something to say? I like just be like, y'all got something to say? And they were like, man, no, man, just go, man. I'm like, okay, I thought not. And I just drove off. See, I don't do rage junk. I
don't do rage.
See, I just kind of like mess with people.
Yeah, true. I don't do the rage shit, man. I was mad that
woman. Yeah.
Oh, I was mad at that woman, dog. Oh, gosh. Yo, Greg said that they said the N-word at the ESPYs last night. I was watching that. I didn't hear that. Who said it and when did that happen? Because I definitely didn't hear that. Must have been the A, not the hard ER. It had to be the A because I didn't hear anything about it. I know there was a nip slippage. Megan Rapinoe had a little nip slippage moment. It was kind of, well, I guess I can't say it's ESPN's fault, but it was kind of as she was like getting up, ready to go to the stage, because she was wearing a jacket, but she had nothing on under it. So you just saw a little bit of side boobage and stuff like that. And so when she got up, you know, it was kind of like, you know, she got up and you could kind of see in there.
Oh, so they had the angle so you could see inside.
Whatever, man. I mean, of course, I don't care. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't do nothing to me.
It's whatever.
It's a titty.
Yeah.
Titties exist.
True. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about it.
Side boob. I will say though,
said,
I think it's
side boob is the shit.
It's probably because it's like mysterious boob. It's like a boob, like it's like a boobie peeking around a corner. So it has some like a little mysteriousness to it.
Yeah.
It's not a whole boobie. It's just like, ooh, it's like I'm almost boobie. Yeah. I'm almost whole boobie. I'm like, I'll let you see a little bit of me. So it's kind of like, it's like intriguing.
True, it is.
I see
There's mystery.
I see the appeal of a side boob because it ain't everything. So you just want to be like, oh, is that side boob?
He also said under boob too. So it's kind of the same thing. That's what he said.
I will say, I'm not gonna tell you who it is, but somebody sent me a little under boob pic.
Somebody sent you? Oh.
Somebody sent me an under boob pic, a friend of mine, and I was like, oh snap! It ain't the whole booby, but I was like, good job, yo. I'm like the way she did it, I was like, yo. I was like, word.
Yo, Jason, I saw something about Tim Black earlier in the chat too. Jason's asking thoughts on Tim Black. Ha ha.
What you mean by thoughts? I don't really follow him. Did something happen with Tim Black?
Yeah, I
Like, could you fill us in, please? Because I don't really. I'm not sure. Do I follow his Twitter or not? I used to watch some of his stuff, but I really don't have time to, man.
I don't really.
What happened with Timmy?
I don't know what's going on.
Timmy Turner. What happened to him? Like, fill us in. Now, I mean, if you just want to, have my thoughts in general, we can go there. But but I don't know.
He said no, nothing happened. He's just a goofy guy.
Oh,
what you thought.
I mean, yeah, he's goofy. We actually met him, and we met Jimmy Dore in Philadelphia at the Democratic Convention in 2016. We met. There's should be videos of it out. Either he put them out and we put them out. So yeah, we met him and talked to him in Philly, along with Jimmy Dore, and we met Benjamin Dixon as well. We met some other people. We met one other person. We met a very.
I was wondering when you were going to get to that.
We met a sane individual. That's all I'll say. We met a sane.
And her cohort.
Oh yeah.
On the train. Oh. On the train. It's been a good time. I mean, it's been a good amount of time.
Oh.
It's been a good amount of time, actually.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, those were the times, bro.
Yeah. Those were times.
Those were the times.
I said there were times.
What?
I said there were times.
Oh, there were times.
those were times.
Yeah.
I
don't know who else did we meet. I don't think we've met anybody else that was prominent within the political commentary.
Not at
that time. Yeah. We didn't get close to him, but it was what's his face who does Redacted.
Oh.
He just performed, so we didn't really get close.
Lee
Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we didn't meet him, but
yeah.
See me, I'm never really I just if it happens.
We was in the cut, man.
Yeah, if it happens, it happens. I'm not trying to let me get a picture. I'm not like that.
Yeah,
we not like that.
Yeah, we didn't do a lot of that. AOC deal with the devil, Kamala. What deal? You know, dealie? What deal?
Oh yeah, I saw something. Does it have to do with prison reform of some sort? I didn't get the chance to look at it, but I saw it flash across my screen, either on Twitter or some other social media platform. It's something. I think it has something to do with I don't know, prison reform or something.
Housing.
Something. I thought housing. Oh, I don't know.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, that seems that seems very strategic, more so for Kamala, considering that Kamala's most likely going to need to appeal to black voters. And right now, Nancy Pelosi is shitting in the wind, and a lot of the shit is flying back in her face. As far as who she's choosing to criticize and who she's pretty much telling to tone down, just seems like the more vocal, dark-skinned members of the House. So,
she says she shouldn't work with Kamala at all. The bill will go nowhere. Trump won't sign it. She's doing PR for Kamala. I disagree with saying that she shouldn't work with Kamala. She's working with, or she's attempting to work with Ted Cruz too. So, look, there's going to be many disagreements that I think she has with probably most other politicians, most other Congress members. Should she not work with them?
Then she can't work at all then.
Yeah, exactly. She won't
be able to work at all.
Because look, if she's going to be as relevant as I think she's trying to be and as relevant as we all want her to be, she does have to spread those wings. And she has to work with some people that live in the area of being disingenuous and not really being a good actor. So I don't really have any problem with that. She's working with Bernie too. She's trying to do her thing. If that leads her to work with Kamala Harris on something,
it's not like the pessimism is not out of bounds. I'm just saying, what I'm saying? I can understand the pessimism attached. Yeah. So it's not. No.
I think he did in his next comment said with Kamala is different specifically because she's literally the top threat to Bernie Sanders. At this particular time, I can see where you're coming because if she's working with Kamala, maybe people that are supportive of AOC will be like, well, hey, maybe Kamala isn't that bad. Maybe we can vote for her. You know, I don't know. It's a little bit of a stretch. It's possible that some people may go down that path of thinking, but I don't know. I think it probably have to be deeper than that. You know, just on, you know, you're working with some other senator on some issue. They are running for president, but to know who AOC is and to know who Kamala Harris is, you know that there is some separation. So just because she's working with her in one regard, I don't think that's like some like endorsement or something like that. I don't. Again, she's working with Ted Cruz, you know. So. All right. Before we get out of here, did we get a response to where that? I wanted to see where that N word was said. I don't know if Greg responded.
Oh, at the ESPYs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
It was pretty good. Like I said, the whole Bill Russell tribute, that was pretty good. And then the women's soccer team, national team winning Team of the Year. That was good. It was pretty good. Anyway, Trudy, one of our callers and very loyal viewers, contributed to the super chat. Said you guys are brilliant. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, no,
you know,
we just regular guys with
say all
like
that.
some opinions.
Not tooting my own horn like that. That's a little bit too far. But we appreciate it.
I mean, I think I would call myself a stable genius though.
Yeah. Yeah.
The president.
You know what? We didn't even get to that. I didn't even show those tweets that he had about the.
About
yeah.
We can still show them. We can just show them real quick after we get to the super chat.
All right.
About the whole
Snowflake festival.
Yeah. Oh, it's a festival now. It's a festival now.
Yeah. Been out front. Sanders can't prove more progressive than Elizabeth Warren in 30 seconds. Okay, yeah, so I remember that, what he was talking about. It would be, they only have, a minute, 30 seconds, something like that to speak at the debates. It is a short time. Of course, there's going to be, 9-10 people on the stage. So it's just that Sanders, he does need a good performance. He needs to bump up things a little bit compared to what we saw at the first debate. I think that's pretty much what we're saying. Aaron Barnett. Haven't seen Aaron Barnett's name in a little while. Well, Mike, how do you guys feel about Pete Buttigieg? Love you guys. Don't love Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, man, he says some very.
Don't love Pete
I would say
Buttigieg.
he has a history of saying some problematic things. We went over it a little bit in one of the other broadcasts, but yeah.
And he has a proclivity to cozy up to your very large donors.
Yes. He's definitely out of step with us in regard to Israel. Mm-hmm. One of his spokespersons tried to clean that up and say that he doesn't agree with Netanyahu's policies. Mm-hmm. He's kind of supports Israel's policies, but he doesn't support Netanyahu's policies. Now you tell me how that makes sense.
Who's the prime minister?
Try to get from under that. He was doing some sort of speech. I forgot what the event was. It was supposed to, I think, centered around, I guess how police and law enforcement interact with the community, and he turned it into like an all lives matter type thing. Like police are in danger too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Not with Pete Buttigieg.
Gentrification in South Bend as well.
And when you're talking about policy, he's light. He's light on policy, and when it comes to explaining himself about what he backs, what he supports, what he doesn't, it's kind of like
that is right. Because during like that town hall, he said when they asked like, why don't you have a policy platform on your website? He says, I don't want to get involved in the minutia of this and that. It was a very poetic response. He says, I don't want to get involved in the minutia of all that conversation. I can't remember exactly what he said.
All that is related to why somebody would even think about voting for you. Or it should be, at least. Like policy, not about your Pete Buttigieg. Hey, I'm a good guy. I don't care how good you are. I don't care about that. What are you going to do? Like, what's your plan? Anyway, Gear Randon as well, super chat contributor. Thank you everybody that contributed tonight. And thank you to all our callers as well, Trudy, Jordan, Sav, and Ben. Appreciate hearing from you and adding to the conversation. Shout out to all of our patrons on patreon.com too. Thank you very, very much for contributing each and every month. Couldn't be more grateful for what you do for us every month. And for everybody mixing it up in the chat section, yes, we kind of noted earlier, there's been a little bit of static in the chat section regarding something that happened, probably on Discord. See Lisa and Jordan and maybe some others talking. Still can't follow exactly what happened, so I'm definitely not going to comment on it. I really don't know. N-word is being discussed. I know that. I don't. Do you have a clue what's going on yet? Nah, I don't know. Yeah, Muzz are losing it because Russ Westbrook got traded. Again, that's sports. That's not politics.
That's kind of interesting. I don't know how.
Now, how is that going to?
Because Russ is a point guard.
Russ is a point guard. Needs the ball in his hand.
He needs the ball in his hand. So is James Harden. It's all well. Actually, if you think about it, it's a reunion.
It is, but at the time when they were together,
James
Harden
coming
wasn't
off
James
the bench.
Harden.
He was coming off the bench too.
As we know, James Harden is right now. And he wasn't a primary ball handler.
And he was coming off the bench.
I don't know how this works, but because we saw how it worked with Chris Paul, and Chris Paul really had to take a back seat.
That's not his style. His style, Westbrook's style is very aggressive. That's who he is. That's not something he became. He's been that way all his life. I don't see that working. Unless one of them completely changes who they are.
And it's very interesting how you would grade this transaction too, because we saw what Houston was with Chris Paul, and it wasn't good enough to get past Golden State. Is Westbrook an upgrade? Because you would think, okay, in terms of talent, athleticism, okay, that's an upgrade. But he is far less efficient.
Far less efficient, true. And again, it all depends on is your boy going to change the system, D'Antoni? Because he lets players play. He just lets them play. That's all he does. He just gets play. He just lets them play. They really don't have they run some plays.
They have a three-point system.
Yeah, they have a three-point.
L Train says Harden needs to learn how to play off the ball. He doesn't move when he doesn't have the ball. But that ain't going to happen.
Again, unless these one of those two completely change who they are, which is hard.
Damn. Look, I have never been fond of Chris Paul as a player. Never. For some reason, I just never have. I've acknowledged his talent. I just have never. Because he's been a dirty player sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Even going back to Wake Forest.
Wake Forest, yeah.
So I've never been a fan.
Him and Teague were on the same team, right?
Were they on the same team? No. Teague? What? Jace? There's a Jace?
Who was on the other side of Paul when he was at
Wake Forest? I can't remember. Teague is too young though.
Yeah, Teague is too young. Who was that? Who was the two guard?
I don't remember. But I never been a fan, but I guess I feel a little bad for him, though. But he's in OKC by himself, man. At age, 35, 36? Diminishing skills? What's he going to do in OKC?
He better lean on Adams. He better lean on Adams.
But Adams ain't a young Tyson Chandler.
I know.
Westbrook is an upgrade simply because he'll be on the court. CP3's not, as he's always injured in big moments.
And he's not as athletic as, you know what I'm saying? So.
does Westbrook like does it significantly
does it get him over that hump? Does it get him over the hump? And
Westbrook
again, it all depends. It all depends on what we see from them. Will D'Antoni kind of decide to adjust his strategy? He hasn't ever done that. He takes his strategy to every team he goes to. He takes his coaching style to every team he goes to. So I don't know.
And it never works.
And he never learns.
He can take a team to the conference finals. Yeah, he can take a team there, but he'll never get up there. Anyway, Brooklyn for life. Brooklyn Nets. What's up, man? Yeah, what you think? What you think? L Train. Brooklyn, man. What you think, man? Got KD, got Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? Celtics made a little bit. They got Kemba now. Might be an upgrade. Actually, it might be an upgrade. Might be an upgrade. So.
Oh, we got another.
Ben, can you interview Pelosi challenger Shahid Buttar? Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, that's the same guy that Moose Guy was talking about as well, because he's challenging, the Speaker of the House, Pelosi. So that might be something that we can do. I remember Moose Gal, I think, emailing us some details. Yep, via Facebook. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. I wonder, she's definitely running. She's definitely running again. Of course, she's running for re-election. We know that. I wonder what his prospects are looking like.
I don't know. It all depends on how.
It's California.
Yeah, it's California. To me, it just all depends on. I don't know.
Look, man. If Feinstein can't get taken down.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's a real slim shot.
It's a real uphill battle.
It is an uphill battle. Not to knock his legs out from underneath him before he even gets started. It's just that's a hell of a challenge. It's a hell of a challenge, man. Eltran, I'm one of the few Boston fans that still likes Kyrie. I hope he balls out in Brooklyn. Yeah, man, a lot of Boston fans have already cut that cord, boy. They like Kyrie, nah, man. The one thing, really, the best thing that I like about the additions made by the Nets is that they did not give up any young talent. That is the best thing that I like about what the Nets did. Of course, I like getting KD, and with KD is Kyrie. I don't know if I would have liked just Kyrie. I probably would have rather D'Angelo Russell. But with them two and the young talent that I see on that roster, man, the young talent, look throughout the league. I'm not sure I see a better total roster.
Because wait a second, is LeVert on y'all's team?
Yes.
Oh yeah, LeVert is nice.
Yes. Still got the 3-point. Well, I don't know if he was I think he was a 3-point leader this year. Joe Harris, Dinwiddie. Got Jared Allen. They got two guys that was in the G League last year that.
No, I saw that. Yeah.
Musa and Pinson. Theo Pinson. I think he went to North Carolina, didn't he? Theo Pinson?
That sounds familiar.
I believe he did. Yeah. That's a good question. That's what I've been wondering too, Eltran. How the Nets going to play Jared Allen with
and DeAndre Jordan? Yeah,
I don't know
because Jared Allen is not. He's a big man, but he's not a clunky big man. He gets down the floor.
Yeah, but can he guard the four? I think in some rotations he would be able to guard the four, but if you're talking about like a Jason Tatum four, no. That's not gonna happen. Out on the wing? No, that's not gonna. I don't know what they're gonna do, and it would be disappointing if Jared Allen doesn't start. But you're paying, DeAndre Jordan this money. You just brought him in. How can you not start? I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do there. I really don't know what they're gonna do. All right. So that's some sports talk. We always, well, not always, but sometimes we give some little bit of sports talk, especially around this time. It's free agency time in the NBA. Football's coming back in a little bit, But, the weekend's coming. Anything going on?
I have no clue.
No clue.
As I always don't.
I hear some thunder coming. I do hear some thunder. I did hear about some hurricanes. Yeah, down in the
Gulf. That's some flooding.
Yeah, flooding already. Yeah.
So I actually seen somebody swimming. They showed somebody swimming, which is mad funny. Sad but funny.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know what else is going on this weekend, but we appreciate everybody joining us for this conversation that we've had. Again, boy, I wish I knew. I wish I was in the know of what the hell was going on with this chat, man. There is some beef and some static. There's some heat in this chat, man, and I cannot follow it. I don't know what's going on, man. Maybe somebody hit us with the knowledge, maybe in the email or something. I have no idea what's going on, man. I can't follow it. But anyway, we will see you next week. It'll be on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you to everybody. Somebody talking shit about Gene. Huh? But Mike and Will is because the chat I filled with humans. Oh, it's filled with humans. Oh, yeah. Yeah, humans be humans.
Hey, man. Just saying. There's a couple people that should be, off limits in that chat. Don't make me name them. I'm going to use a wrench on you. If you mess with those two people, I have to use the wrench on you.
Joanne said, have a good weekend, guys. I will try to be more responsible with the Discord. Okay. I mean, look, everybody try to remain open, objective, try to think of others, I don't know. That's again, I don't know how to really specifically respond to this without even knowing what is really going on, but like I said, I think we all here for the same reason. We want to see things progress forward. Most of us kind of see things mostly the same way. Our positions on many different topics. That we try to speak for everybody. It's not about this group of people or this group of people over here. We gotta raise everybody up. So with that, just let that be your guiding tool. Anytime you're speaking to somebody else, like I said, the conversations that we've had with many of you and the conversations we've seen in the chat, I think most of you are interested in, I guess, the futures of other people. It's not just about a selfish mission. So I'm just ad-libbing here because, like I said, I don't know what the hell's going on. So
word.
Anyway, everybody, appreciate it. Shout out to Blair on YouTube too, because he's not the only one that has brought this up, but of course our live streams always span 2-3 hours, sometimes more, something like that. So Blair is the only one that recommended this, but he's the last one to do it and recommended that we add some timestamps to our live streams. We've thought about that before. Yeah,
we can like pin something to the top.
Yeah, and when we talked about this, stuff like that. We can do that. That's not a problem. We just haven't gotten around to it. It would make it a little bit easier for people to follow. Maybe if something they didn't want to hear, maybe something they've already heard before. It just makes it a little bit more seamless. Okay, I want to hear them talk about this. Let me go right to it. So that's what we're anyway, yeah, but we're going to do that, and I appreciate Blair for bringing that to our attention once again. Good suggestion. So we're definitely going to get that done. Hopefully starting with this particular video. Once it is done processing, we'll get on that. And it should be in play by tomorrow. So Good suggestion. Thank you, Blair. So, everybody, peace out once again. It's going to be a long weekend. Hope you do something that makes you smile. Peace out. LTMB.